Shadow Slave. Eternal Madness by author, Rzxs Chapter 1-25. Volume 1. Lost opening quote. Fate truly has a twisted sense of humor. In a warm dining room, 5 people sat around a table laden with food. At the head sat a man in his 40s, with black hair just starting to gray and brown eyes that gleamed with quiet affection. His features were average, but his presence carried a certain steadiness. To his left sat a woman of the same age, her striking blue eyes, a rarity in these times, softened by a mischievous glint. Her black hair framed a face many would call beautiful. On his right was a younger reflection of her, a girl in her early 20s, her blonde hair and vivid blue eyes lending her an elegance that mirrored her mother's beauty. Opposite them sat 2 boys. The older one had black hair and brown eyes like their father, his athletic build marking him as confident and active. Beside him, the younger boy, slimmer and quieter, shared their mother's rare blue eyes. His headphones were firmly in place, his attention locked on the screen of his phone, detached from the lively table. Alex glanced at his wife and smiled. "Your cooking is really top tier, Elisa." Elisa smirked back at him, her tone playful. "Oh, are you judging my cooking now?" Alex blinked, caught off guard. No, I didn't mean it like that. I was just trying to say it's so good that I wonder how I managed to marry someone so, PFFT. Laughter erupted from his right, breaking his flow. "Ariel, Raphael," Elisa said with a mock scolding tone, "don't laugh at your father. That's disrespectful." Raphael, the older boy, grinned as he looked at his mother. "Then why were you teasing him, Mom?" Their sister Ariel chimed in, laughing. "Really, Father, you're too easy to tease. Is this what love does to people?" The room filled with laughter, all except for 2, Alex, the victim of their jokes, and the youngest, who stayed engrossed in his phone. Raphael leaned over, curious. "Hey, Michael, what's so interesting? What are you watching?" Without looking up, Michael replied, Rzxs. Rzxs. Raphael scoffed. "Isn't that the one where the MC's weak but has some overpowered cheat? Seriously, why watch a show with such a lame MC?" Bam! Michael slammed the table, his eyes blazing. "Don't you dare insult my glorious King Subaru." Slap. "Ow. Mom, what was that for?" Michael yelped, clutching his head where Elisa had lightly smacked him. "Hit the table like that again, and you'll find out," she warned. "Stupid," Raphael muttered under his breath. Michael glared. "I heard that, you." "I don't know what you're talking about," Raphael interrupted innocently. "Raphael, stop," Alex interjected, his tone firm. Raphael sighed and leaned back, eyeing his brother. "But seriously, why do you even like that show? It's so boring. The MC's the worst. If I had his power, I'd use it way better." Michael looked at him with a mix of disbelief and exasperation. "Raphael, do I need to remind you about the last time you broke your hand you cried like a baby?" Raphael fell silent, his mouth twisting in defeat. Raphael scratched the back of his head, a little embarrassed. All right, but still, where are you at in Shadow Slave?" Michael blinked, then raised an eyebrow. "Where did that come from? Just answer the question." Sigh. "I just got to the privileged chapters." "Really? What do you think about it?" Michael's face lit up. "Solid 9/10. Everything was peak, but V8 was disappointing. And V9 is still ongoing. The only good part in V8 was when Asterion finally showed up." Raphael grinned. "I have high hopes for him." Madrid couldn't stop glazing over him. Ariel, clearly fed up, slammed her hand on the table. "Could you both just shut up, you bookworms?" Michael turned toward his older sister, raising his eyebrows. "Ariel, you know, one time I saw your phone open, and what I saw was really bad." "Yaoi pornwa, Ariel. Yaoi." He scrunched his face in exaggerated disgust. Ariel's face turned bright red, and her spoon clattered to the floor. "I can explain." Before she could continue, Raphael jumped in, grinning mischievously. I also saw her reading those Wattpad abominations." Ariel stared at them with a mix of defeat and annoyance. "I'm going to my room." "Wait, Ariel, Elisa started, but the sound of the door slamming shut echoed through the dining room. Elisa glared at her sons, her expression darkening. Sigh, you two. Be ready, we're leaving in an hour. Yes, ma'am, they said in unison. An hour later, as they were all gathered in the car, Alex glanced back. Is everyone in? Yeah, yep. Let's just go, Alex muttered, focusing on the road. Raphael looked at his sister again, raising an eyebrow. By the way, why did you dye your hair blonde? Trying to stand out or something? None of your business, Ariel snapped, her face a little flushed. TCH, fine. Guess I'll just talk to Michael. Hey, Mish, shut it, Michael interrupted, not even looking up from his phone. Sigh, you're killing the mood, Raphael muttered under his breath. As they drove through the streets, Raphael noticed something strange in the sky. His eyes narrowed as he stared, trying to make sense of it. What is that? Is it falling near us? No way, right? Hey, Dad, what is that in the sky? Raphael asked, his voice suddenly tense. Huh? Alex glanced up, his eyes widening. He didn't know how big it was, but he recognized the shape, round, cylindrical, like a missile. A missile. But why? There's no battlefield here, and if it's military, how is it still intact? Raf, everyone down, now, Alex shouted, his tone sharp with panic. Without thinking, Alex swerved the car off the road, his foot heavy on the gas pedal, trying to outrun the missile. Other drivers on the road began to notice, but it was too late. The missile streaked downward. First, a deafening tremor. Then came the blinding light, a flash so bright, it swallowed everything in its wake. And then, nothing. Darkness. In history, it was said that the missile was an Israeli weapon that had gone off course. Initially, the military had assumed it had fallen somewhere in the Middle East, lost in the chaos of a region constantly on the brink of conflict. But the missile had not landed where anyone expected. Instead, it fell in Europe. The world would come to know it as the missile of war. Its impact was far beyond anyone's imagining. The missile, in its devastating power, ignited the spark that would set the world ablaze, triggering what would later be remembered as the Doom War, the war that led to the collapse of nations and the rise of destruction on an unimaginable scale. What followed was the cataclysmic event that is called World War III. What do you think? It hurts. It hurts so much. Anyone help me please. Father, Mother, Michael, Ariel, anyone, please make it stop. In an alley a young man could be seen. He had black hair, brown eyes, with light tan skin. The man lay on the ground, his eyes fixed on the sky. Where am I? What's going on? I was with my family in the car. My dad, he was shouting something, then everything went black. What happened? Where are they? Raphael looked at the sky for a second, then he stood up. He needed to find them, but he knew searching for someone by yourself is meaningless. He need to go to the police station. Raphael started walking searching for someone to ask him where the police station is. After a while of asking people, someone finally answered. Those fuckers can't answer a simple question. Reaching the police station he saw someone beside him, a frail-looking young man with pale skin and dark circles under his eyes like he never slept for a week. The young man didn't give him a glance and walked to the entrance of the police station. Raphael waked behind him. Inside, a tired-looking officer looked at the pale young man and frowned with obvious distaste. Raphael didn't know why, but he didn't care. He needed to find his family. Are you lost, boy? The pale young man didn't answer, which made the officer angry. Hey, I'm talking to you. No. The pale young man scratched the back of his head and said. As demanded by the third special directive, I am here to surrender myself as a carrier of the nightmare spell. Raphael's hair stood up. He didn't even hear the conversation between the officer and the pale young man. His mind was full of two words. Nightmare spell. Raphael's face changed a look of fear and terror. He looked at the young man in front of him and remembered something from the novel he used to read. A frail-looking young man with pale skin and dark circles under his eyes, wearing cheap clothes like a beggar. There is no mistake, this is Sunless from Shadow Slave. Attention. Code black in the lobby. I repeat, code black. The officer quickly looked at the other boy and asked, "And you don't tell me you car?" But before he continues, Raphael ran to the exit of the police station and got out. The officer was surprised, but he understood if someone carried the spell in front of him he will run too. Sunless looked at the young man who was running. What a weirdo. Raphael run, he didn't know where will he go, but he run. Tears coming from his eyes, he was scared, crying from fear. How I am in this world. I didn't ask for it, I just want to be with my family, laughing and having fun. Why did you take my happiness from me, why? Raphael kept running, the people around him were curious why he is crying, but didn't bother. Why me? Couldn't you take some loner who lives alone? Then Raphael thought of something terrifying. Will I be infected by the nightmare spell? In this world people thought of monster as common sense, but for him it was terrifying. Raphael felt absolute despair. If he was really infected with the nightmare spell, then he wouldn't survive. Unlike the people in this world, he didn't know how to survive in a harsh place like a desert or a forest, nor he was trained with weapons to kill something, he only trained his body to make it healthy. Maybe I am in a coma or in a dream. Yes, it must be a dream. Raphael was in denial, he couldn't believe he was far from his home, far from his family. But if it's true, why me? Who brought me to this world? Was it Weaver or the 6 gods, or maybe the dream god? Fuck them all, I will kill that fucker, I will butcher him. Raphael was in anger even though he know that he will die just by being in their presence, he didn't care less, he was angry and needed something to put his anger on. I was summoned in this world with my body, then there must be a way to get back, right? If there is a way to get in, there must be a way to get out, it's common sense. Raphael was bargaining with himself, he needed to find a hope in this despair. But what if there wasn't a way to get back? What if my family died and I couldn't see them again? Raphael was in depression. Who wouldn't be when your loved one just vanished, taken away from you? Maybe there is really no way to go back and I will live in this cursed world. No way. No way. I'm accepting this. I will find it, a way to return home, to return to my family. Raphael couldn't accept this, he had a goal, and he will do anything to achieve, even if it needed to be affected with the nightmare spell. It's been 3 days since he was brought to this world. He survived by eating the food which is given to the people of the outskirts by the government. As he predicted, he was really infected by the nightmare spell. Raphael sat on a rusty bench. Raphael stood up and walked to the police station and entered. The officer was different than the last time. The officer looked at the young boy and asked, "What do you need, boy?" Raphael looked at the officer with indifferent eyes. He had already accepted that it was all real. As demanded by the 3rd special directive, I am here to surrender myself as a carrier of the nightmare spell. The officer look changed from not caring to a wary look. How much days have you been infected? Raphael answered quickly. 3 days, I think. The officer sighed in relief. If it was another black coat he would have blow up in anger. Sigh. That's good. The officer took the mic and spoke. Attention. Code red in the lobby. I repeat. Code red. From what Raphael understand, code black is for those who carried the spell for 5 or more days, and code red for those who carried the spell for 4 or less days. It'd been 4 days since he came to the police station. At first took his data, then they told him everything about the spell and how to survive. Today either will be the last day on this world or will be the first step to his goal. Raphael walked with the officer. He felt sleepy but he didn't care. Finally they reach their desired room and enter it. In front him stood a man with blonde hair, blue eyes and white skin with a handsome face. On his back was a sheathed sword. So this is the man who will kill me if I fail. The blonde man looked at Raphael and spoke. I'm Awakener Brian and I will be the one who will be watching you today. Nice to meet you, Awakener Brian. Raphael said with a tired smile. The officer should have told you everything about the nightmare spell, so we will skip everything. Sit down on the chair and be ready, you will be summoned anytime. Raphael did like he was asked and closed his eyes. Good luck, kid, and don't die on me. Raphael took a breath. Inhale. Exhale. Let's do this. Aspirant. Welcome to the nightmare spell. Prepare for your first trial. What do you think? I want to write another chapter, but I can't. See you tomorrow. Raphael dreamt of a desert. The desert were endless, he couldn't see its end. In a part of the desert near an oasis, a tribe thrived. Known for their incredible strength and dexterity, they were feared for their uncanny regeneration. They could heal a missing hand in a week, a broken arm in 3 days, and a wound in just 3 hours. The tribe survived by hunting the fearsome beasts that roamed the area. But one day, a massive cloud of dust erupted from the south, growing ever closer to the village. The dust cloud was a horde of monsters and abominations. Leading them was a colossal beast. It had the tail of a scorpion and a body resembling a human, but its form was covered in stones and scales. Its face bore 4 horns sprouting from its forehead and a maw full of fangs and tusks. 6 enormous legs supported it, and 4 clawed arms radiated menace. Despite their strength and regenerative abilities, the tribe stood no chance. The monsters annihilated them. Raphael stood above the massacre, his gaze calculating. Surviving this is impossible. The tribe didn't stand a chance. Even if they killed the horde, that leader would have ended them. It's at least an awakened terror, maybe even a fallen. He studied the monstrous leader, searching for anything useful. The monsters, they have neither eyes nor noses. They can't smell or see. Raphael shifted his gaze to the oasis, his mind racing to formulate a plan. Yes, this might work. If everything goes right, I could survive. Fighting the monsters was out of the question. He would die. But Raphael knew the nightmare spell didn't rate participants based on kills, it valued how they changed fate. If he survived, the tribe would escape extinction, altering their destiny. Suddenly, time rewound. The monsters retreated, the slain tribespeople rose again, and the village returned to its previous state. Raphael sighed. This will be hard. A voice echoed. Aspirant. Welcome to the nightmare spell. Prepare for the first trial. Raphael awoke lying on hard clay. He scanned his surroundings, noticing only a single open window and an old wooden door that seemed ready to collapse. Without delay, he focused on something more critical. Status. Name. Raphael. True name. Rank. Aspirant. Soul core. Dormant. Memories. Echoes. Attributes. Fated. At hash. €4 super regeneration. Aspect. Gladiator. Aspect description. Gladiators are known for their courage and strength. They do not fear death and are famed for their immense power in battle. They follow the goddess of war. Shit. Not only did I get fated but also another attribute I can't even read. Raphael could see the runes of the attribute but he couldn't read it. Each time he tried, he felt a huge pain in his mind. Sigh. At least I have super regeneration and there's fated. To be fair, Raphael felt happy to have this attribute, even with the negative side of it. Not only did it give him confidence that he will survive, but also that he will be important for the fate of this world, which may be good and bad at the same time. Of course he didn't trust the attribute, not at all, but it did give him the confidence to trust his plan. First, I need to understand how this body works. Raphael did a lot of experiments, be it for strength, dexterity, and even his regeneration, but the most important thing is inhale. Raphael held his breath. Time passed. 1 minute, 2, 5, until Raphael reached 10 minutes before exhaling. 10 minutes. Good. This is good. With this knowledge, he exited his shelter, spear in hand. Outside, the tribe's village buzzed with life. The men walked shirtless, their battle-hardened muscles on display, wearing only hides around their waists. The women covered their chests and lower bodies with small hides, leaving them partially exposed. Raphael was dressed like the other men. What can he do? Create clothes from thin air. Raphael went to the market. The tribe trade in hide and meat and other things to buy anything, and the body Raphael in had enough hide to buy what he needs. Founding everything he need, he quickly returned to his place. He didn't know the exact time the horde of monsters will attack, so he need to finish quickly. Raphael bought some wood, a rubber, and a candle. Raphael started shaping the wood to a pipe, then shaping another wood to a mask covering his mouth. He made a hole in front the mouth and connected it to the pipe. He then burned the candle, letting the wax fall on where the mask and pipe connected so it can glue together and not letting anything enter from the space. Then using the rubber he bought, he connected with the mask so he could wear it anytime. His makeshift diving mask complete, Raphael went to the oasis to test it. Normally a human couldn't breathe underwater with a pipe because of the pressure of the water, but with this body it might be possible. Well, if he couldn't, then it will be the end. Raphael donned the mask and entered the water. The oasis wasn't deep, he could stand and keep the pipe above the surface. At the center of the oasis was a hole from which water flowed, the source of its endless supply. To his relief, Raphael could breathe underwater. It was difficult, but it worked. Now, everything was ready. All he could do was wait. The next day, in the distance Raphael saw a massive cloud of dust. Raphael did everything he could, now it was matter of luck, would he survive or not? Only fate knows this. Raphael had his mask with him, he also took a knife for emergencies. The cloud is becoming closer and closer, Raphael took a huge breath. Inhale. He donned the mask and submerged himself in the oasis. He needed to survive underwater for an hour, 20 minutes for the tribe to be killed and 40 for the monsters to finish their feast. The sounds of battle rang out after 3 minutes. At 8 minutes, Raphael resumed breathing through the pipe. By the 20-minute mark, the cries of combat continued. The tribe had exceeded his expectations, lasting a full 30 minutes and slaying several beasts. This, however, complicated Raphael's plan. He'd have to remain underwater longer than expected. Couldn't they just die faster? He thought grimly. 50 minutes passed. The monsters finally finished their meal and began to leave. Relief washed over Raphael. Finally. Just this once, let nothing else go wrong. But fate couldn't allow such an easy victory, could it? Suddenly a monster started approaching the oasis. Raphael didn't understand why. Is it because it needed hydration after a huge meal? But Raphael didn't dwell on it, he needed to act fast and understand why it's coming to the oasis. Then Raphael thought of something. He looked at his chest. My heartbeat. It can hear it. Raphael cuckily thought of a solution. Fuck me for what I'm about to do. It's either this or being eaten by the monster. He quickly cut a part of his hide and put it in his mouth. Then he pointed his knife towards his chest, and stabbed it. The knife didn't reach his heart, but it cut deep enough to allow him to force his ribs apart. Somehow Raphael didn't make even the slightest noise. He quickly opened his chest and ribs, and clutched his heart, making it stop beating. Any normal human would have died instantly, but somehow Raphael lived. The monster halted, confused. It lingered by the oasis for 2 agonizing minutes before returning to its horde. Raphael didn't stop holding his heart, his consciousness started to fade, and after 2 minutes he exited the oasis. Inhale. Exhale. Raphael breathed like he is going to die. He was actually dying, but that didn't matter. He survived. Tears of happiness and pain came from his eyes. Then, like a soft melody, the voice returned, whispering to his ear. Wake up, Raphael. Your nightmare is over. Prepare for appraisal. 1353 words. God, I wrote so much. Hope you enjoy it. See you tomorrow. Prepare for appraisal. Raphael found himself in a new world. The place around him was beautiful, breathtaking, and other words, but it still couldn't justify the nightmare spell. Raphael remembered a quote from the novel he read. The nightmare spell was like a space between dream and reality. It was an endless black void illuminated by a myriad of stars. Between those stars, countless strings of silver light were woven into a beautiful and inconceivably complex net, forming various nexuses and constellations. It was truly breathtaking. This place was like a masterpiece, drawn by the greatest artist in history. Sunny really didn't do it justice. Suddenly, a voice echoed, not coming from one direction, but from all sides. It felt as though the universe itself was speaking. The spell had completed its appraisal. Aspirant, your trial is over. A nameless gladiator lived in a village doomed to extinction. He foresaw the coming danger, but unlike other gladiators, he didn't fight. Instead, he hid underwater. When a beast tracked him by his heartbeat, He clutched his chest and stopped his heart, deceiving both the monster and death. He survived the annihilation of his kind. You have achieved the nigh impossible. Final appraisal. Legendary. Your perseverance knows no bounds. Raphael gazed at the appraisal, surprised. He had expected a rating like excellent or remarkable, possibly earning him either a transcendent or supreme rank. But now, it made sense. The spell had given him a legendary appraisal. It must be because of that deceiving death. It wasn't impossible since someone had already done it, the one who escaped the Shadow God domain. Your aspect is ready to evolve. Evolve aspect. Raphael smiled, though there was a trace of disappointment. It seems I didn't get a true name. Sigh. On the bright side, I wouldn't be a slave to someone. He didn't dwell on it and focused on the more important matter, his aspect. Yes, evolve. Dormant aspect gladiator is evolving. New aspect acquired. Aspect rank, sacred. Raphael didn't show much emotion. He had expected the sacred rank. What mattered more was the nature of his new aspect. Aspect name, undying. Raphael was shocked. Does this aspect make me half dead, half alive? Or does it give me control over the dead, like the Queen of the Dead, key song? There was an easy way to find out. By summoning the runes and examining the lines that described his aspect. Aspect. Undying. Aspect rank. Sacred. Aspect description. You are one who deceived death, escaping its grip and breaking its chains. But beware, for death will not let you escape again. Innate ability. Immortality. Ability description. You are immortal in blood, bone, flesh, soul, spirit, mind, and shadow. In essence, you cannot die. Raphael collapsed, stunned. Holy shit, immortality. No way, with this, I can survive everything. This is a blessing. Your attribute super regeneration is evolving. Still reeling from the shock of his immortality, Raphael noticed another notification. He quickly moved to check it but was interrupted by another announcement. The first seal is broken. Awakening dormant power. Raphael felt something stir inside him. A strange sensation welled up in his chest. He kneeled, clutching his chest as he understood what was happening. His soul core was awakening. It felt as though a sun was burning within him, radiating waves of heat that spread throughout his body. As the heat engulfed him, his body began to rebuild and rejuvenate. Raphael no longer felt human. He was becoming something stronger, faster. It was euphoric. After a while, the sun inside his chest began to cool, and the coldness washed over his body. It moved up through his body, reaching his brain and, finally, his eyes. His vision strangely doubled. He was still in the void, yet at the same time, he was in a different place. A lively world with a blue sea and gentle waves stretched before him. Above, a star hung in the sky, the visual representation of his soul core, burning brightly and filling the soul sea with a warm, blinding light. Raphael felt peace in his soul sea. The spell's voice suddenly pulled him back from the soul sea. Awakening aspect ability. Inhale. Give me an offensive ability, give me an offensive ability, give me an offensive ability. Aspect ability acquired. Aspect ability name, self-sovereignty. Raphael quickly summoned his status. Name, Raphael. True name. Rank, Dreamer. Soul core, Dormant. Soul fragments, 0/1000. Memories, Echoes. Attributes, Faded. At hash. €4 instant regeneration. Aspect, Undying. Aspect rank, Sacred. Aspect description. You are one who deceived death, escaping its grip and breaking its chains. But beware, for death will not let you escape again. Innate ability, Immortality. Ability description. You are immortal in blood, bone, flesh, soul, spirit, mind, and shadow. In essence, you cannot die. Aspect abilities, self-sovereignty. Aspect ability description. You can control your body, soul, spirit, and mind to your desire. Raphael wasn't disappointed with his ability. While it might not be as OP as Nephi's or Sunny's abilities right now, he knew that in the future, when he awakened his soul essence, it would get a massive boost. Right now, I can only control my body to a small extent, like shifting an organ, extending my bones to make my hand longer, or manipulating my blood to form a blade. Of course, the blade will be as strong as I am, so if I get stronger, the blade will too. Raphael then summoned another set of runes. Attribute: instant regeneration. Attribute description: you can heal a critical wound in a minute, a broken bone in 10 minutes, a missing limb in an hour, and your entire body in 12 hours. I'm an absolute tank. Raphael couldn't help but chuckle to himself. The spell's voice echoed again in the black void. All power has a price. You have received a flaw. Your flaw is masochist. What the fuck? Raphael summoned the runes to confirm, making sure he wasn't seeing things. Flaw: masochist. Flaw description: you will feel pain 3 times more intensely than a normal person. Well, it's not that bad, I could live with it, as long as I have time to adapt to the new pain. The spell spoke once more. Wake up, Raphael. Raphael woke up in the police station. It took him a moment to adjust to the light, and then he heard someone speaking. It was Awakener Brian. Welcome back to the living world, and congratulations on surviving your first nightmare, Sleeper Raphael. Thank you, Awakener Brian. Then I'll begin, as per protocol. But before Brian could continue, Raphael interrupted him. He already knew what he was going to say and didn't need to hear it twice. Sorry for the interruption, but I already know the protocols. First, no, I don't need psychological counseling. Second, yes, I will go to the academy. There's less than 3 weeks left, so I need to move quickly. Brian wasn't upset by the interruption. On the contrary, he was glad to get things moving quickly so he could return home. I understand. I'll call someone to take you to the academy. After concluding the conversation with Brian, Raphael was escorted to a shower room. He was ecstatic. He hadn't had a proper shower in over a week. Once finished, he put on the clothes given to him, with the iconic police-issued tracksuit. Finally, the person who would take him to the academy arrived. He said his goodbyes to the officers and got into the car. Raphael stood in front of the massive gates of the academy, the place where the main character currently resided. His plan for the academy was simple: attend wilderness survival, avoid engaging with the main characters, at least for now. Of course, he'd interact with Sunny, but he would keep his distance, as would Sunny. And most importantly, he would not be in the same room as Cassia. Simple, right? I can't stop, I can't stop, I can't stop. Finally finished the chapter. The next chapter will be the academy, and the entrance to the dream realm. Folks, believe me when I say, the Dream Realm arc will be an absolute cinema, something you wouldn't see in another fanfic at all. To Raphael's surprise, there is no induction ceremony today, which is good because he wouldn't interact with main characters, especially Cassia. The reason he doesn't want to meet her is because of his attributes. If Cassia saw faded or instant regeneration, it would give him huge headaches. Right now, he was being taken by academy personnel along with 4 other sleepers. AHM. Welcome to the Awakened Academy. I'm sorry to say that the induction ceremony will be held after 3 days, but don't worry, you will start from tomorrow. Not like Raphael cared about it. In the end, he planned to ditch it. Now please take this paper, write your information, and the course you will be studying. After finishing, he returned the paper to the personnel. Your appointment with the academy personnel will be held now. Let's go. Reaching the place where the appointment would be held, Raphael had to wait until the other sleepers finished. After waiting for 15 minutes, it was finally Raphael's turn. Raphael found himself in a small office, sitting across from an administrative worker. The academy personnel didn't waste time and started asking, "Would you mind telling me about the type of aspect ability you received? Is it combat, sorcery, or utility?" Raphael did actually mind answering. "I don't know. I haven't understood it well." It was the truth. Raphael doesn't know the potential of his ability. "That's all right. Are you able to directly deal damage with your ability?" "It's hard to say. It can deal damage, but at the same time, it cannot." "Would you want to tell me your aspect rank?" Raphael remained silent. "Did you receive a true name?" "No. Would you like to talk about your first trial? I would like not, Raphael said with a smile. The meeting continued for 5 more minutes. Thank you for cooperating, Sleeper Raphael. It was my pleasure. Please take this. It's your key to your room, and your wilderness survival course will start tomorrow. Reaching his room, Raphael entered. He took seconds to check it. It was, at best, just a room with a bed and a bathroom. Raphael sat on the floor. He didn't want to get the bed dirty because he would start experimenting on his ability. The next day, Raphael stood in front of the door of his class. Sigh, this will be the second time meeting Sunny. He still remembered meeting Sunny at the police station. He really wished Sunny had forgotten about him. Raphael knocked on the door. The door opened, and in front of him stood a man. He was a lively old man with messy gray hair, absent-minded eyes, and a pair of bushy eyebrows that seemed to jump around on their own. The man had a creepy smile on his face. Come in, young man, come in. Thank you. Raphael looked around, only to find the class empty. Only one student was there, and it was none other than Sunny, the self-proclaimed protagonist who isn't really the protagonist. Taking a seat 2 seats away from Sunny, Raphael observed. I'm awakened Julius. You can call me Teacher Julius. What's your name? It's Raphael. It's nice to meet you, Awakener Julius. Ah, Raphael, like one of the 3 archangels from the old religions. If I'm right, Raphael is the one entrusted with blowing the trumpet on the day of judgment to announce the arrival of the hour, the end of the world. Raphael was stunned. He thought the history of his world, or this world's past, was lost. Yes, my grandfather, who named me, was a believer in the old religion. Your grandfather had a good naming sense. It's a very good name. Thank you. Well, let me introduce you to your senior. His name is Sunless. It's nice to meet you, Sunless, Raphael said with a smile. I now understand why Nephi's fell head over heels for him. Nice to meet you too, Raphael. Ahm. Now, as you know, Raphael, you are later than Sunless, so you will study 2 more hours with me alone until you catch up with Sunless. Yes, Teacher Julius. Sunny looked at Raphael with a mocking look. He's the one who ran when he heard me saying I was infected with the spell. He got infected too. That's karma, bitch. Raphael's days continued in the academy, and the induction ceremony came. He ditched it as planned. His daily life was divided into 3 parts. First, he would wake up, take a shower, and go to his class with Teacher Julius. Second, he would return to his room and sleep for 3 hours. Finally, he would train his body and experiment with his abilities. Raphael woke up early today, as always, but today there was no studying, it was the day before the winter solstice. Finishing his daily routine, he went to his class to meet Teacher Julius. Entering the class, he only saw Sunless. It seemed Teacher Julius would be late today. Raphael looked at Sunless and smiled. Good morning. Sunless looked at Raphael. To Sunny, Raphael was weird. Sometimes, when he sent his shadow to investigate other sleepers, he would enter Raphael's room. What he saw was really weird. Sometimes, a red spike came out of Raphael's body, or his body would start changing, becoming taller or shorter. But the weirdest thing was that Raphael hurt himself. Sunny thought it was his flaw, or that he was a masochist. Sunny wasn't one to judge. In the end, everyone has their own fetishes. Raphael sat in his place and waited for Teacher Julius to come. 5 minutes passed, and still, he didn't come. Raphael looked at Sunless. Sunless, can I ask you something? Sunless, with his flaw, quickly answered. No. Raphael smiled. He knew Sunless's flaw and asked anyway. If you were summoned to a death area, what would you do? Sunless looked at Raphael with a surprised look. Where did that come from? But because of his flaw, he was forced to answer. I would try to survive until I either die or get out of the dream realm. What about you? Me. Don't worry, I will live and come back to the real world. That's inevitability. Sunless was surprised. Then he thought of something. Is he trying to be cool? Suddenly, the door opened. Entering was Teacher Julius. I'm sorry I'm late. No problem, Teacher Julius, Raphael said with a smile. Julius looked at his students with an emotional look, but he still put a smile on his face. As you both know, we've finished everything about how to survive in the wilderness. Tomorrow is the winter solstice. You guys must survive and come back. Do you understand? Raphael stood up and put his hand on his forehead in a military salute. Yes, sir. That's the spirit, Sleeper Raphael. Now you're all dismissed. Enjoy the last day in the waking world. Raphael looked at Sunless and smiled. Good luck tomorrow. Sunless smiled back. You too. Raphael returned to his room, holding a small book summarizing everything about his ability, self-sovereignty, and his flaw, masochist. First, he can only control his blood, bones, and organs. Second, creating a weapon for now is impossible for 2 reasons. 1. He doesn't know how a blade looks like. 2. Creating a blade requires precise measurements and an understanding of the weapon's center of balance. Third, and most importantly, he doesn't feel pain when using his ability. This was very good, considering his flaw. Finally, his flaw, it was worse than he initially thought. Still, it was better than being burned alive every time he used his ability. Raphael took the small book and ripped it into pieces. He looked at the window in his room. Seeing it was already late, he decided to sleep. But before that, Raphael sat in a prayer position and started praying, be it to the 6 dead gods, the dream god, or even his firstborn son, Weaver. Please don't summon me to the forgotten shore. He prayed for 5 minutes and then went to sleep. Raphael felt tired, as though he hadn't slept for a month. He was walking with other sleepers to the Academy's medical center. The center looked more like a shrine than a hospital. Its interior contained both highly advanced technology and some of the best healers among the awakened. For the duration of their first journey into the dream realm, the bodies of sleepers would be kept safe in specially designed pods and sustained by the magical powers of those healers if anything unfortunate were to happen on the other side of the spell. After entering the medical center, Instructor Rock did not take them directly to the wing containing sleeper pods. Instead, he led them to a comparatively deserted floor and opened the doors to a spacious gallery brightly illuminated by the beautiful crimson rays of the setting sun. There, they saw rows and rows of wheelchairs. In each wheelchair sat a person with a blank, strangely peaceful expression on their face. All of them were completely silent, motionless, and still. They showed no reaction to the appearance of guests. Raphael knew what they were. They were hollows. Instructor Rock looked at the empty people with solemn eyes. There's a reason I brought you all here. Look well and remember. Some of you may know who these people are. For those of you who don't, they are called hollows. He gritted his teeth. Each one of them was once either a sleeper or an awakened. Some of them were weak, some of them were strong. Some were even incredibly powerful. All of them have perished in the dream realm. So don't die out there. Half an hour later, the sleepers had been led to their personal rooms and were preparing to enter the pods. Raphael looked at the pod in front of him and entered it. Inhale. Exhale. Let's do this. Raphael closed his eyes. Welcome to the dream realm, Raphael. Raphael found himself lying on sand. He stood up quickly, ready to defend himself from any monster, but there was none. He felt something wrong, very wrong. He turned around, and what he saw destroyed him. In the distance, there was a pyramid. It was so large that it made the 7 wonders of the world, both ancient and modern, seem insignificant. Raphael knelt on the ground. He knew what that pyramid was. It was the tomb of Ariel. The gods are truly benevolent and merciful. Even in their deathbeds, they had heard his cries and prayers and granted him what he wanted. Raphael knelt for 10 minutes, trying to comprehend what was happening. But then, he stood up. He needed to run. Run, 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 run. I need to escape this place. His goal, the forgotten shore. Fate truly has a twisted sense of humor. Volume 1, Lost End. Volume 2, Madness. Opening quote. All hail ************, the one who will devour the world. Hello everyone, Rzxs is here. As you can see, Volume 1 Lost just ended. If you have any suggestions, please tell. And tell me, what do you think about this volume overall? 1800 words chapter, I need to rest. Volume 2, Madness. Opening quote. All hail **********, the one who will devour the world. Raphael ran as though his life depended on it, even though he was immortal. He needed to reach the forgotten shore, specifically the Crimson Spire. The problem was, he didn't know which way led to the forgotten shore. Raphael had also considered the gateways in the Nightmare Desert, but they were too dangerous, especially for him, an immortal. That was because of one monster, the Skinwalker. If that thing took control of his body, he would be doomed. He would live as a puppet for the rest of his life. The thought terrified Raphael to his core. As he kept running, a plan began to form in his mind. First, I need to find the Hollow Mountains. If I can find them, they'll lead me directly to the forgotten shore. Second, once I reach the forgotten shore, I'll go straight to the Crimson Spire. If my calculations are right, my journey will take about a year, which isn't ideal, considering the siege of the Crimson Spire is scheduled to happen in a year. If I'm too late and can't reach the Crimson Spire before it's destroyed, then I'll join Nephis, gain her trust, and conquer the second nightmare with her. It's not a perfect plan, but it will do the job. But first, I need to find somewhere to hide. Night is coming. Raphael continued searching, but found nothing. Fuck. Night fell, and with it, the dead rose, continuing their endless battle. But among them was an impostor, a living being. Raphael looked around, seeing thousands of monsters staring at him. He couldn't fight them all, there were thousands targeting him. So he kept running, but that wasn't enough. The undead were getting closer by the second. Suddenly, Raphael tripped. He tried to get up, but to no avail. He felt something was wrong, very wrong. He looked behind him to see if the undead were close, but what he saw was something else entirely. His legs were cleanly severed. Raphael took a second to process what was happening, and then the pain hit, 3 times worse than normal. The pain was so overwhelming that he forgot about the undead and the monsters roaming this place. He screamed at the top of his lungs. Ah! It hurts. Raphael looked up, only to see the undead closing in on him. He began crawling, trying to escape, but it was of no use. An undead raised his sword and plunged down at Raphael's stomach, another took one of his hand and ripped it from his body. Ripped, crushed, stabbed, slashed. All type of physical pain came at him like a tsunami. The funny thing is that he is still conscious thanks to his ability. He couldn't speak or scream because his vocal cords had already been ripped out. I wanna die, 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 I wanna die. Finally, above him, an undead lifted its leg and slammed it down, crushing Raphael's face into a meat paste. Ah, I died. The sun rose high into the sky, signaling the start of a new day. In the middle of nowhere, a body lay sprawled, a grotesque sight. The left cheek was missing, exposing part of the skull. Its right hand was missing 3 fingers, and its abdomen gaped open, revealing a tangled mess of organs. An hour went. Suddenly, the body opened its eyes. There was a strange calmness in them, but beneath that calm was a swirl of conflicting emotions. Raphael stood up. He didn't feel pain, nothing at all. He began to walk. Then, he sprinted. And soon, he was running. For 20 minutes, Raphael kept running. Then, his legs gave out, and he collapsed. Tears streamed down his face like a floodgate had burst. He tried to scream, to speak, but the words caught in his throat. What did I do to deserve this? Why was I summoned to this hell? But the answer never came. Only silence greeted Raphael's cries. Gritting his teeth, he clenched his fists so tightly that blood trickled from his palms. The pain triggered his flaw. Arg! He gasped, forcing himself to his feet. I can't stop now. My family is waiting for me. I can't let them down. Raphael staggered forward and resumed his journey. Night fell, and Raphael died again. This time, a clean cut severed his head from his body. There was no pain, he was lucky. The sun rose and fell. Night came and went. Again, and again, and again. A week passed in this relentless nightmare. In that time, Raphael learned two crucial truths. First, he could escape pain by using his ability to obliterate his mind, briefly severing his connection to his flaw. Second, he discovered he could survive without food, water, or rest, though it hardly felt like survival. Raphael sat in a cave, hiding from the undead soldiers that roamed the land. It was his first day in this place without dying. For the first time, it felt like a victory. No wonder Sonny was so desperate to escape his fate, Raphael muttered, staring at the stars. This fated is no joke. He exhaled, gazing into the vast, indifferent night. This is going to be a long journey. 2 months passed since Raphael had been summoned to the Nightmare Desert. In those 2 months, he died 46 times. His ability kept him sane, but the repeated deaths were wearing him down. Frozen in place, Raphael stood still, staring ahead with a faint smile. How could he not smile? His goal was finally within reach. Before him loomed a chain of mountains, their jagged peaks tearing into the sky like the fangs of a monstrous dragon. They were cloaked in a thick mist, concealing whatever lay beyond. Finally, Raphael whispered, his voice trembling. I've reached it. The Hollow Mountains. The start of Volume 2 is here. What do you think of the beginning? Raphael looked at the Hollow Mountains for a minute, then he started walking west. If the dream world was the same as described in the novel, the Forgotten Shore should be to the west of the Nightmare Desert. Raphael continued his journey for 5 days, dying on all 5. It started to become a daily habit. Raphael began to stop fearing death, which in itself was terrifying. To a warrior or soldier, Raphael would be a terrifying opponent. Not only would he not care about the damage he took, but he would also do anything to win. Raphael was hiding behind a rock, peeking at a monster. By some coincidence, it was the same species that attacked the village in his first nightmare. The difference was that it had 4 legs and 2 arms. The monster is an awakened. Its class is unknown, but at most, it's a demon. The monster has high defense. I don't think my blood could even scratch it. Raphael started planning, trying to find a way to kill the monster. He looked at his hand for a second and cut a wound in it. Blood flowed down, and the blood on the sand started to change shape. Yes, this could work. After finishing his plan, Raphael walked toward the beast. The monster quickly heard his footsteps and ran toward him, trying to slash at Raphael with its claws. He quickly dodged to the right, using his ability to summon mantle-like claws, and attacked the monster's lower right leg. As I predicted, my ability couldn't even scratch its leg. The monster, angry that its prey had attacked, raised its leg in an attempt to crush Raphael. Raphael dodged backwards, narrowly escaping being crushed. In these 2 months, Raphael hadn't killed himself when night came or when he saw a monster. He had fought them, earning some experience. This monster is nothing compared to the undead. It's easy to predict its attacks. The fight continued for 5 minutes until, by mistake, Raphael tripped and fell. The monster didn't waste the chance and used its tail to capture Raphael, dragging him in front of its face. The monster used its hands to tear off Raphael's hands and put them in its mouth. Expecting its prey to scream, the monster looked at Raphael, only to see a crazy smile on his face. Die, bitch. Suddenly, something started to move in its mouth. Using his ability, Raphael turned his blood inside the monster into a spike, crushing its skull and destroying its brain. The monster's body fell, and the grip on Raphael loosened, freeing him. Ha ha ha, I'm fucking crazy. You have slain an awakened demon, Dreadgoal. You have received a memory, Warrior Trust. You have received an echo, Dreadgoal. Raphael looked at the sky, a stupid smile on his face despite the pain he felt. My first kill in this world, and it was an awakened demon. Not only that, but I got a memory and an echo. Raphael tried to stand, but to no avail, his hand was gone, and there was nothing to balance himself with. With nothing to do for at least an hour, Raphael opened his status. Name: Raphael. True name: Rank: Dreamer. Soul Core: Dormant. Soul Fragments: 0.001. Memories: Warrior Trust. Echoes: Dreadgoal. Attributes: Faded. At hash: €4 instant regeneration. Aspect: Undying. Aspect rank: Sacred. Aspect description: You are one who deceived death, escaping its grip and breaking its chains. But beware, for death will not let you escape again. Innate ability: Immortality. Ability description: You are immortal in blood, bone, flesh, soul, spirit, mind, and shadow. In essence, you cannot die. Aspect abilities: Self-sovereignty. Aspect ability description: You can control your body, soul, spirit, and mind to your desire. Flaw: Masochist. Flaw description: You will feel pain 3 times more intensely than a normal person. Raphael summoned the runes of his memory. Memory: Warrior Trust. Memory rank: Awakened. Memory type: Armor. Memory description: A warrior's armor is a warrior's trust, as he trusts his armor to protect his life. Memory enchantments: Enhanced durability, courage of the weak, self-repair. Unlike Sunny, Raphael couldn't see a memory tier nor a memory enhancement description, which was disappointing. But he could understand what each enhancement did. Finally, I have something to wear. I've been walking naked for 2 months. Enhanced durability made his armor more durable than normal armor. Courage of the weak provided mental protection and courage against stronger enemies. And self-repair, as the name suggests, would repair it even outside his soul sea. He was happy with the memory, considering what he had to suffer to obtain it. But he wasn't finished, there was another prize waiting for him. Echo: Dreadgoal. Echo type: Demon. Echo Core: Awakened. Echo attributes: Regeneration, Bulwark. Echo description: A demon who lost its tribe to this cursed place. The attributes of his echo were self-explanatory. The first meant the echo could regenerate, and the second meant it had massive defense. So it's an indestructible tank. Well, that's not what's important. I finally have a way to travel. Walking for 2 months on foot was just wasting time. I was so jealous of Sunny having a horse-like nightmare. After an hour, Raphael's arms fully regenerated, and he summoned his armor. The armor was dark and durable, with sharp shoulder plates etched with circular emblems. A solid chestplate protected his torso, while leather straps and reinforced greaves ensured flexibility. A tattered cape flowed behind him, and a heavy scarf was wrapped around his neck. Raphael summoned his echo and ordered it to open the Dreadgoal's chest to retrieve the soul shards. Inside, there were 3 soul shards. Raphael quickly took them and absorbed them. He felt stronger than before. He summoned his soul fragments runes. Soul fragments: 6/1000. He then looked at his echo and asked it to sit down so he could rate it. I should give you a name, don't you think? Since you're my first echo. Raphael smiled. Tank. I think Tank works well for you. Now let's go, Tank. To the forgotten shore. Tank started running. He was at least 5 times faster than Raphael. Ha ha ha, this will make the journey way easier. The depths of an endless and inescapable nightmare, a blinding disk of an incandescent sun bathed the dunes of a vast desert in a flood of immolating heat. The sands of the desert were flawlessly white, and the azure sky above them was deep and boundless like an ancient ocean, with not a single cloud blemishing its silken expanse. A figure ran across the land, it was none other than Tank. Raphael, sitting on top of his echo, looked around. To his right, there was nothing but an endless sea of white dunes. To his left, a line of black mountains formed a boundary for the scorching desert. Raphael sighed. It had been 4 months since his fight with Dreadgoal, and now he was somewhere near the forgotten shore. In these 4 months, Raphael had only died 30 times, quite an improvement. Raphael glanced down at his echo. It's all thanks to you, buddy. Tank sneered at his master. Hey, no need to feel embarrassed, you know. I'm really thankful. In the distance, Raphael noticed something. Was it a tree? No way, is that the place where Nefis found Rzxs? Raphael remembered something that made him gulp a huge mouthful of saliva. If I remember right, there should be a pool of water under the tree. Yes, Raphael was immortal, but he still wanted to experience the feeling of drinking water. Tank, go to the tree now. Tank didn't waste time and changed direction, heading for the tree. After a while, the tree grew closer. Raphael ordered Tank to stop and stared at the tree. Its white bark, its scarlet leaves, tens of thousands of skulls hanging from the beautiful branches fastened with glistening threads of black silk. A spring of water formed a clear pool in the shadow of the great tree. On its bank, with his back turned, stood a figure clad in strange, rusted armor. Tank, be ready, we've got a bag of bones to destroy. Hearing Raphael's voice, the creature turned around, revealing the desiccated face of a corpse, hollow eyes emanating an ominous blue radiance, and 6 hands, each grasping the hilt of a weapon. 2 hands held long swords, their blades sharper than razors and slightly curved. 2 others held menacing, twisted sickles, while the last 2 gripped a heavy scepter and a broken shield. The chest plate of the creature's rusted armor was shattered, revealing a harrowing wound beneath. With furious madness burning in its eyes, the abomination lunged at him, striking down with one of the sickles. It moved faster than lightning, sending a scarlet cloud of fallen leaves swirling into the air with a strong gust of wind. Raphael jumped backward, dodging the undead's attack. Without wasting time, he lunged forward and punched the undead in the face. The undead, feeling no damage, used its sword-wielding hands to plunge the blades deep into Raphael's chest, making the tips appear on the other side. The undead tried to retrieve its swords, only to be stopped. Looking down, it noticed 2 hands gripping its bony arms. Where do you think you're going, fucker? The undead, surprised that the being in front of it was still alive, tried to use its other 4 hands, but it was too late. Now, Tank didn't waste time. Using one of its 4 legs, it crushed the undead, along with Raphael in the process. But Tank didn't stop. It continued crushing the undead until there was nothing left but dust and a meat paste. Did that guy just kill himself? Rzxs was shocked. He had never seen someone sacrifice themselves just to kill a pile of bones. Hey, Rzxs, did you see that? He literally killed himself. Who in their right mind does that? Rzxs looked at Rzxs with an annoyed expression. No one does that, and I can assure you he isn't sane. He came from the east, you know what's in there. By the way, am I crazy, or is the meat moving? You are crazy, but you're not wrong. It's definitely moving. Right. They continued watching as the mass of flesh grew larger and larger. He's regenerating, Rzxs said in a surprised tone. Yes, how can he still be alive with that weak body in this state? Rzxs said with amusement. Can't you smell the stench of a demon on him? He's one of Weaver's. Nothing makes sense when something is related to him. You're not wrong. They watched until Raphael's body fully regenerated. Raphael woke up and looked around, seeing only Tank and the tree. He smiled and looked at his echo. That was a nice crush, Tank. I didn't even feel the pain. Ha ha ha. Rzxs listened to their conversation. This poor thing lost it a long time ago. Raphael, not noticing the 2 skeletons nailed to the tree, jumped into the spring and started drinking. Fuck, man, I needed this. This is so refreshing. In my whole fucking life, I didn't think I'd miss water this much. Raphael closed his eyes and savored the water. Ah, I'm in heaven. Suddenly, Raphael heard a voice above him. Sorry to disturb your happy time, but can you tell us how you survived that? Fuck, I forgot about them. Rzxs of the Nine and Rzxs the Mighty, or so he called himself. In the novel, Rzxs wasn't particularly important, but Rzxs was. He was one of the 9, a mysterious group shrouded in secrecy. Their goals were unknown, though Raphael had a theory. Their goal is to awaken the forgotten god, known to Sunny as the Dream God. Raphael sighed and answered the skeleton. It's my aspect. Your aspect. That's interesting, an aspect that can regenerate you even when you're dead. Raphael didn't bother correcting him. Regeneration was only part of his aspect. You know, Raphael said, there's something called manners. Shouldn't you at least introduce yourselves first? Rzxs bellowed proudly. Kneel, living creature, before Rzxs the mighty. The plague of steel, king of kings, conqueror of 100 thrones. Raphael raised an unimpressed eyebrow. What about you? The other skeleton, speaking with a more aloof tone, replied. Me? Oh, I am no one. Just a humble slave. Raphael frowned. Why are the two of you nailed to this tree? Rzxs growled, his voice seething with disdain. Don't you know where you are, creature? I am here because I led my armies into the Great War, slaughtered a myriad of souls, and was punished for my strength and pride. Raphael stopped listening midway, uninterested in the long-winded tale. Instead, he shifted his gaze to the other one. Rzxs answered succinctly. I angered the gods. How the hell do you anger the gods? Raphael asked, curiosity piqued. Rzxs sighed with regret. Well, if you must know. I slit a god's throat. My, oh my. One could say it was a misunderstanding. Was there really a need to be so petty? I see, well, my name is Raphael. It was nice talking to someone in this hell. The sun was already sinking below the horizon, and a chilling cold spread across the white desert. Soon, night descended upon the world, revealing a myriad of bright stars. As it did, the sands shifted, and slowly, countless figures rose from beneath them. All of them were corpses, their flesh long gone, leaving behind perfectly blackened bones. Some resembled humans, others towered as giants, and some were beings too strange and terrifying to describe. In a cacophony of clattering rusted armor and unearthly howls, the horde of abominations clashed against one another, continuing their terrible battle even in death. Fuck them again, Raphael muttered, a disdainful look in his eyes. Rzxs observed the scene and asked. You've met them? Yes, I've died at their hands multiple times. That must hurt, Rzxs replied with a smirk. More than you think, Raphael muttered. He turned to Rzxs. You still didn't tell me your name. Rzxs tilted his head as if pondering. A name? I used to have one of those before. What was it? Oh. He moved his jaw slightly before speaking again. Rzxs of the Nine. Raphael's eyes widened. The Nine? Did you just say you're one of the Nine? Rzxs, surprised by Raphael's reaction, asked. You know the Nine? Raphael stared at him, feigning ignorance. Ah, yes, someone I knew mentioned another of the Nine like you. If I'm right, her name was Aletheia of the Nine. From what I heard, she was a seeker researching the forgotten god or something like that. Rzxs fell silent for a moment before asking. I see, do you know where she is now? Raphael didn't answer directly but pointed east toward the tomb of Ariel. Rzxs, following his gesture, sighed. Thank you for telling me, Raphael. You've done me a great favor. Raphael seized the opportunity to ask. Then can you tell me more about the forgotten god? Rzxs' tone grew sharp and dangerous. There are some things that should remain unknown, boy. Ah, I'm sorry, Raphael replied quickly. Silence fell between them, the weight of unspoken words hanging in the air. Damn it. I answered all his questions, and he didn't give me anything. All my acting went to waste. The sun rose once more, its scorching heat dispersing the chaos of the endless war. Raphael summoned Tank, preparing to continue his journey to the forgotten shore. Well, it was nice meeting you, Rzxs. And you too, Rzxs. But I need to keep moving. Rzxs tilted his head curiously. Where are you headed? West, to the forgotten shore, Raphael answered. Rzxs scoffed. The place cursed by that revolting Nephilim. Well, good luck, Raphael. Thank you, Raphael replied, climbing onto Tank. Let's go, Tank. We don't have much time left. Rzxs watched as Raphael's figure disappeared into the horizon. Then he turned to face the distant tomb of Ariel. Aletheia, he murmured. With a heavy sigh, Rzxs glanced at his old companion. It's just you and me again, Rzxs. Rzxs glared at him. Shut it, Rzxs. Rzxs laughed. Ha ha ha, same as always. Raphael saw a harrowing, but beautiful place. The somber gray sky and the black earth created a perfect backdrop for the vibrant crimson sea of twisting coral blades. Here and there, strange landmarks broke the monotony of the landscape. Finally, I escaped that hell. Raphael was elated. He had not only reached the forgotten shore but had also escaped the nightmare desert. Raphael looked behind him at the white dunes and then ahead at the forgotten shore. Sigh. We have a problem, Tank. The nightmare desert was an open area where there were no obstacles to slow you down or trap you. On the contrary, the forgotten shore was riddled with obstructions. Its other name was literally the Crimson Maze. So riding on Tank was out of the question, which meant it would take much longer to reach the Crimson Spire. The problem was, he had already spent 8 months getting here. Sigh. Fuck me sideways, man, why is my luck so bad? On his way here, he had killed more than 80 monsters, raising his soul fragments to 140, but he still hadn't gained a single memory. Did all my luck vanish when I killed Tank? Raphael unsummoned Tank and began walking into the Crimson Maze. Raphael crouched behind one of the red coral blades, watching a group of 10 creatures feasting on what seemed to be a massive shark. 9 of the creatures were 2.5 meters tall, resembling a twisted amalgamation of a demonic crab, a centaur, and a nightmare. They had 4 pairs of long, segmented legs ending in side-like protrusions. From their carapace, a humanoid torso jutted forward, encased in thick chitinous armor. Their heads sat directly on top of their torsos, with no neck in between, and featured narrow eye slits and a slimy, mandible-lined mouth. Instead of hands, the monsters had enormous pincers. The last one, clearly the leader of the group, was even larger, its jagged spikes protruding menacingly from its thick carapace. Its chitin was black and crimson, resembling ancient armor splattered with fresh blood. Instead of pincers, its arms ended in 2 terrifying bone scythes. 9 carapace scavengers and 1 carapace centurion, this will not be easy. Raphael could bypass them and move on, but he was a greedy bastard. Inside the massive shark's body, he saw 4 shards brighter than any he had encountered before. It's at least a fallen, maybe even a corrupted. The plan is simple: kill the leader, which will throw the scavengers into confusion, and take out as many as possible before they regroup. Raphael made a cut on his arm and focused on creating the sharpest blade he could muster from his blood. After completing the blade, he began approaching the centurion with silent steps. 1 chance, Raphael, 1 chance. Once he was within striking distance of the centurion, he stopped sneaking and sprinted toward it. The centurion, engrossed in its meal, only noticed Raphael when it was too late. It tried to raise its scythes to protect its head, but Raphael's momentum was unstoppable. With a powerful slash, Raphael's blood blade severed the centurion's head from its body. He wasted no time and turned toward the shark, only to be jarred by a loud sound. You have slain an awakened monster, carapace centurion. You have received a memory, hunter scythe. What? You gave me a memory in the middle of a battle. But Raphael had no time to dwell on this as one of the scavengers charged at him. Raphael raised his blade to deflect the attack, only to realize his mistake. He had focused entirely on sharpness, neglecting durability. The blood blade shattered like glass under the scavenger's pincer, caving in his armor and sending him staggering back. Cough. Raphael coughed up a huge amount of blood. That hurt, fucker. He didn't waste a second and summoned his new memory. It'll take 7 seconds for the memory to fully materialize. I need to survive for 7 seconds. All 9 scavengers lunged at him. The first came from the left. Raphael dodged backward, evading its strike. The second came from the right, and with no time to dodge, he ducked, narrowly avoiding being skewered. Stepping backward, he stumbled on a rock and fell. Fuck. Looking up, Raphael saw a scavenger poised to impale him with its pincers. But before it could strike, the scythe fully materialized. Its blade emerged behind the scavenger's head. Raphael wasted no time, pulling the scythe downward and cleaving the scavenger's head clean off. Quickly standing, Raphael examined his new weapon. The blade curved like a crescent moon, jagged and raw. The handle was wrapped in tattered, flesh-like strands, giving it an ancient and cruel appearance, made to reap more than just life. With a crazed grin, Raphael faced the remaining scavengers. "Now come at me, you fuckers." Raphael looked down at himself. His left hand was missing, his armor was dented in several places, and blood covered his face. "I was so thrilled with my new scythe that I lost focus." After an hour, Raphael began collecting the shards from the carapaces and the shark. Soul fragments, 194 1/1000ths. So the shark was a corrupted devil. Raphael glanced at the sky and sighed. "Night is coming. I need to find a high place." Raphael sat atop a statue, the very same statue Sunny had been summoned near. Taking a deep breath, Raphael summoned his new memory's runes. Memory, Hunter Scythe. Memory rank, Awakened. Memory type, Weapon. Memory description, a hunter's job is to hunt. Nothing else matters. Memory enchantments, Transformation, Blood Feast. So the first makes the scythe change shape, and the second strengthens it with each kill. He summoned the scythe and began examining it. After a minute, he found a button near the base of the pole. Pressing it, a mechanical sound erupted as the blade detached from the pole, transforming the scythe into something resembling a sword. "This'll come in handy." Satisfied with his new memory, Raphael lay down and gazed at the gray sky above him. A month and a half had passed since he reached the forgotten shore. Raphael stood on a tall hill, one that could become a real island once the tide rose. Its shape resembled a colossal barrow, covered in gray sand left by dead coral. It looked like a mountain of ash crowned by a giant tree. Raphael stared at the tree. Soul-devouring tree. Raphael looked at the giant tree above him. "Fuck me if I go near it." Raphael sighed. From the beginning, his worries were never about the soul-devouring tree itself. Raphael continued west, taking care to steer clear of the soul-devouring tree. Crossing past it, Raphael arrived at the edge of the Ashen Barrow. Beyond the western edge of the Ashen Barrow, the slope of this side of the island was much steeper. At the point where it should have ended, the familiar sight of the flat wasteland was nowhere to be seen. Instead, the ground kept sloping downward at a less drastic but still sharp angle. It extended so far into the distance that the entire island seemed perched on the edge of a colossal depression in the earth, one that stretched as far as the eye could see. With its edges slightly curved, it resembled a massive crater left by an unimaginable impact. The crater's diameter could only be measured in hundreds of kilometers. The roots of the soul tree, visible protruding from the soil far below, looked like tiny blades of grass compared to the sheer scale of the abyssal chasm's wall. "This is the place where the Nephilim descended, huh, the one who brought the curse of all-consuming darkness when it died." Raphael sighed. The way Sunny, Nephis, and Cassie crossed the crater was by crafting a boat and sailing across it. The problem was, Raphael didn't know how to build a boat. And it wasn't entirely his fault. Most people from his world never even considered how boats were made. The only way to cross the crater is by going around it, but that'll take forever. Still, Raphael knew there was no other choice. He didn't have the luxury of time to waste thinking of alternatives. There was only 1.5 months left until the siege of the Crimson Spire. It had been a whole year since Raphael was summoned to the dream world. To celebrate such a feat, Raphael was now drowning. The beasts that lived in the dark sea didn't leave Raphael alone. How could they, with such high-tier prey in front of them? They devoured his flesh and organs, leaving nothing behind, not even his bones. After 2 hours, the dark sea subsided, and the sun of the forgotten shore rose. An hour later, a young man could be seen flying through the air. The young man wore a light lamellar armor, his luscious dark auburn hair and mesmerizing green eyes catching the light. His well-fitted armor was crafted from burnished brown leather, with deep blue embroidered garments underneath. He was tall, slender, and strikingly handsome. His small, perfectly shaped face featured high cheekbones, flawless ivory skin, and electric green eyes. This was none other than Kai, also known as Nightingale. Kai hovered above, scanning for the newcomers who had been summoned to the Forgotten Shore, a mission given to him by Lady Nephes, the changing star. After some time searching, he spotted a pile of bones resembling a human exoskeleton. Kai descended to where the exoskeleton lay, his face clouded with sorrow. He approached the remains and quickly started digging a grave. Once finished, he carefully placed the exoskeleton inside and covered it. I don't know who you were, but your nightmare is over. Kai didn't linger. Rising into the air again, he resumed his search for survivors. What Kai didn't know was that the man he had buried, his nightmare was just beginning. Cough. Cough. The fuck? Why was I buried? After coughing for a minute, Raphael forced himself upright. He needed to keep moving, there was no time to waste. Grinding his teeth, Raphael swallowed his fear. He might have seemed confident, but deep down, he was shattered beyond repair. The countless deaths he had endured had left scars on his already fragile mind. If he couldn't reach the Crimson Spire before the siege, he might just give up. Ahead of him, the silhouette of the Crimson Spire loomed in the distance. Raphael was riding tank, the massive beast charging forward as the sounds of battle grew louder. The clash of the Dark City's inhabitants against the creatures defending the Crimson Spire echoed through the air. Fuck. Fuck. Am I too late? No. There's still time. Faster, tank. Faster. There were about 100 kilometers, 62 miles, left between him and the Crimson Spire. He had no idea how long the battle had been raging, but he guessed it was either in its middle stages or nearing the end. Suddenly, Raphael felt a sharp, unnatural pain deep within his soul. Alarmed, he entered his soul sea, only to find it in chaos. His previously calm soul sea had turned turbulent, and his soul core was being damaged. Above the Crimson Spire, the sun shone brighter than ever before. The perpetually gray sky of the forgotten shore had turned a blinding white. Ding! Ding! The sound of a bell rang out, and Raphael's heart sank. He knew exactly what it meant. Quickly, Raphael unsummoned Tank. Continuing to summon him would only lead to his echo being destroyed. He could see the army of sleepers sprinting toward the Crimson Spire. Raphael kept running, the pain in his soul intensifying. His regeneration was slowing the damage caused by the sun, but not enough to stop it. Still, he pressed on. Anyone. Please, I'm still here, hic, hic. With tears in his eyes, Raphael looked toward the Crimson Spire. Sonny. Don't leave me here, Sonny. In this world, the only person Raphael could consider a friend was Sonny. Hic, please, anyone, don't leave me here. I don't want to be alone anymore. Raphael cried, but he didn't stop running. After 2 hours of excruciating soul pain, Raphael finally reached the Crimson Spire, only to realize he was too late. The Crimson Spire was collapsing before his very eyes. Falling to his knees, Raphael watched helplessly as his last hope crumbled into nothingness. Then, an injured woman emerged from the ruins of the Crimson Spire. Her silver hair fell to her shoulders, her blood-covered face still breathtakingly beautiful. Her cold, determined gray eyes glinted in the sunlight, and her slender, ivory-skinned body was partially revealed through her broken armor. Nephes, the changing star, stared at Raphael in surprise and shock. The sun should have killed everyone outside the tower, how is he still alive? The man before her had long black hair that reached his shoulders, light tan skin, and lifeless, dull brown eyes. Nephes raised her sword and demanded, "Who are you?" "Hello, Rzxs is here," waving hand, medium light skin tone. "I tried to write Raphael emotions the best I could be at his despair, sadness, and agony and other things, and this is the best I could write. What do you think of the chapter overall? Hope you like it." Crossed fingers, light skin tone. Welcome to Fanfic Audiobook, your go-to place for immersive audiobooks. If you enjoy the content, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel for more amazing stories. Nephes was surprised. It was impossible for anyone to survive the soul damage inflicted by the sun. Even she, a devil, would perish. So how is he alive? The truth was, Nephes felt regret. If I had known someone was still out here, I wouldn't have sacrificed myself. I could have been with them now. Nefis looked at the boy standing before her and asked again, her voice sharper this time. Who are you? And how are you still alive? The boy didn't spare her a glance. His eyes were fixed on the crimson spire. Those eyes, she recognized them. How could she not? She had seen them in her own reflection before. Suddenly, the boy began to walk toward her. She raised her sword, preparing for any sudden movement, but to her surprise, he passed right by her, heading toward the crumbled entrance of the crimson spire. When he reached the entrance, he stopped, staring at the shattered remains of the tower for 5 long minutes. Then, he laughed. Ha ha. Ha 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 ha. Raphael's laughter echoed like something unhinged, sending a chill down Nefis's spine. For a moment, she forgot to breathe. When he turned to her, his once dull and lifeless eyes now burned with emotion, anger chief among them. You must be Nefis of the Immortal Flame clan, he said, his voice dripping with venom. Answering your question, my name is Raphael, someone unimportant. Nefis regarded him carefully and asked again. How are you alive? The sun should have killed everyone outside the Crimson Spire. Raphael sighed. It's my ability. You could say I can heal myself, including soul damage. Nefis narrowed her eyes. She didn't believe him. That's impossible, she said firmly. Even if you could heal yourself, the soul damage would outpace any regenerative ability. Especially since you're a sleeper. She's not backing down. Does she think I'm an assassin? You're not entirely wrong, Raphael said. Then he smirked. But before I explain, let me ask you something. Why are you still here? You should have left with the others. Of course, Raphael already knew the answer, but he needed to establish trust. Gaining the trust of someone like Nefis, who struggled with paranoid schizophrenia, required careful maneuvering. The gate of the Crimson Spire needed a soul to work, Nefis replied flatly. She didn't elaborate further, but she didn't need to. I see, Raphael said, his tone laced with bitter sarcasm. What a hero you are, Lady Changing Star, to sacrifice yourself for others. Nefis didn't react to the criticism. She knew how foolish she had been. Now, she said, her voice cold, tell me how you're really alive. Raphael didn't respond with words. Instead, he summoned his scythe. Seeing this, Nefis immediately raised her sword, assuming a battle stance. But to her shock, Raphael slashed his own neck. What? Did he just kill himself? Nefis rushed toward him, her flames flaring to heal his wound, but then she froze. Raphael was still standing, and his neck was already regenerating. As you can see, Raphael said calmly, I'm immortal. That's how I survived the sun. For the first time, Nefis's stoic expression broke. Her mouth fell open in shock. How? That's impossible. There's no way the spell would grant someone an ability like this. Well, if it's impossible, Raphael said with a wry grin, then I wouldn't be alive right now, would I? Nefis still couldn't fully believe him. Immortality was unfathomable, something even the gods themselves didn't possess. Since you've finished your interrogation. Wait, Nefis interrupted. There's one more question. I've never seen you in the Dark City, and you're not one of my soldiers. Were you summoned this year? Raphael smirked, as though he'd been waiting for this question. No, not at all. I was summoned to the Dream Realm the same year as you. I even attended the Awakened Academy with you. If you were at the academy, Nefis said, frowning, I would remember someone like you. Someone as striking as Kai was impossible to forget. Well, Raphael said, his smirk widening, it's no wonder you don't recognize me. Back then, I was a bit of a loner. I only spoke to one person. I don't know if you know him, his name is Sunless. Black hair, pale skin, short, really short. Beautiful enough to be mistaken for a girl. Nefis's eyes widened. She hadn't expected to hear that name again, not after what she'd done. Ah, yes, she said hesitantly. I know him. He was part of my cohort. What? Raphael's voice rose with urgency. Wait, was he summoned here? To the Forgotten Shore? Did something happen to him? Please, tell me he got out of the Dream Realm safely. Nefis studied Raphael. His expression and tone were genuine, filled with concern as if he was worried for a dear friend. Yes, she said finally. He was here in the Forgotten Shore. But he escaped safely. Raphael's face lit up with relief. Phew. Thank the gods he's safe. Nephis narrowed her eyes and asked, if you were summoned to the Forgotten Shore the same year as me, why have I never seen you? Raphael froze, then took a deep breath. She could see the fear flicker in his eyes. He pointed east. Because I wasn't summoned to the Forgotten Shore. Nephis, if you think this place is hell, let me tell you, it's nothing compared to what lies to the east. Why? Nephis asked. What's so terrifying about the east that it scares even an immortal like you? Raphael smiled faintly. Something that even an immortal like me fears to go near. Nephis sighed and asked, so, what are you going to do now? Me, Raphael said with a grin. Where else would I go? I'll come with you, of course. I may be weak, but I don't need food, water, or rest. I won't be a burden. I see, Nephis said simply. Then come. We'll head to the Dark City. The Dark City? Raphael asked, tilting his head. Nephis sighed again. It's where the humans summoned here live. Now let's go. She turned to leave, but Raphael's voice stopped her. What are you doing? Won't you come up? Nephis turned to see Raphael sitting atop a massive beast. It had a scorpion's tail, a humanoid body covered in stones and scales, and a monstrous face with 4 horns and a maw full of tusks. Its 4 legs and 2 clawed arms radiated menace. Did you really plan to walk the whole way? Raphael teased. Without a word, Nephis approached the echo and climbed onto its back. Take the lead, princess, Raphael said with a smirk. Oh, by the way, his name is Tank. Nephis simply nodded, giving Tank directions. From behind her, Raphael's smile faded. Everything's going according to plan. In truth, he deliberately used Sunny's name to soften Nephis's defenses. She clearly harbored feelings of guilt and care towards Sunny, and Raphael had exploited that to earn a sliver of her trust. It would take time to gain her full confidence, but Raphael wasn't worried. The seed had already been planted. This the first time I wrote a whole chapter full of dialogues. What do you think? Raphael looked at Nephis in front of him with blazing anger in his eyes. Give it back. Nephis looked behind at Raphael and sighed. Raphael, I already told you I can't give it back. Raphael's face twitched. What do you mean you can't? You are the one who took it. Nephis replied again with the same response. It wasn't my choice to take it in the first place. But you did. Do you know how much I suffered to get all that amount? It was only 300. Don't overreact. A bulge appeared on Raphael's face. That 300 may be little for someone like you, but it was everything for me. Nephis didn't answer. She was already tired from yesterday and didn't even rest. The reason was none other than Raphael. She didn't trust him. Raphael looked at Nephis, anger still in his eyes. Is she ignoring me? Raphael summoned his runes to check his status again. Name: Raphael. True name: Soul Core, Dormant. Soul Fragments: 0.001. Memories: Warrior Trust, Hunter Scythe. Echoes: Dreadgoal. Attributes: Faded. At hash: €4 instant regeneration. Aspect: Undying. Aspect rank: Sacred. Aspect description: You are one who deceived death, escaping its grip and breaking its chains. But beware, for death will not let you escape again. Innate ability: Immortality. Ability description: You are immortal in blood, bone, flesh, soul, spirit, mind, and shadow. In essence, you cannot die. Aspect abilities: Self-sovereignty. Aspect ability description: You can control your body, soul, spirit, and mind to your desire. Flaw: Masochist. Flaw description: You will feel pain 3 times more intensely than a normal person. His soul fragments were gone, there was nothing. All of my hard work went for nothing. No, not nothing. He looked at Nephis. She took everything, and because of that, she became a devil. In the novel, Nephis was only 250 soul fragments away from being a devil, but when she absorbed his fragments, she became a devil. Raphael looked at Nephis and asked, "Won't you rest? You must be tired after everything that happened yesterday." "No, Rzxs replied without looking back. By any chance, do you think I will attack you in your sleep? No, you are far too weak to do that. Raphael's face twitched. She is really getting on my nerves. Rzxs stood up and went to Raphael. It's your turn. Go. As you command, Lady Star of Ruin. Ah, sorry, I mean Lady Changing Star. Rzxs stopped in her tracks and looked back at Raphael, who was holding back his laugh. Call me that again, and I will. Ha 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 ha. What are you gonna do, kill me? Yeah, good luck with that. Rzxs took a deep breath. He is more annoying than I've. Rzxs sat down and summoned Sunny's runes. When Sunny became her slave, she could see his runes. She didn't have time to check them before, but now she finally could. What? Rzxs screamed at the top of her lungs. What the fuck is wrong with you, bitch? Rzxs looked at Raphael and asked. What did you call me? Raphael looked her dead in the eyes and said. Bitch. Rzxs's face twitched for a second. Not now, Rzxs, not now. There is something more important. Raphael took a glance at Rzxs. She must be examining Sunny's runes, he thought. Rzxs continued to stare at Sunny's runes, her expression shifting between confusion and shock. Blood Weave, Weaver Mask, Child of Shadows, and Fated. How? I thought he had the Shadow God lineage, but Weaver, the Demon of Fate. How does he have his lineage? And that mask, it's a divine memory. Rzxs needed more details, so she began reading the descriptions of his attributes, aspect, and aspect abilities. So he was blessed by the Shadow God, the God of Death, and he also has Weaver, the Demon of Fate's lineage. Does this mean he has two divine lineages? Raphael's voice interrupted her thoughts. Hey, what are you doing? Rzxs looked up to see Raphael sitting in front of her, watching her curiously. What are you doing here? Shouldn't you be in front? Raphael smirked and pointed at her face. Your mouth was wide open, like you'd seen something impossible. I see, go back to your place and continue leading Tank to the Dark City. Raphael stood up and began walking toward the front. Suddenly, he stopped and glanced back. Hey, will you tell me why you were in shock? No, it's none of your business. You know, Raphael said with a sly grin, you can ask me anything, and I'll answer truthfully. You see, I'm quite knowledgeable. Rzxs sighed, feeling the weariness from both her physical exhaustion and the mental strain of dealing with him. Okay then, if someone has two divine lineages, will they have both? No, Raphael replied without hesitation. They'll only have one. Why? If someone has two divine lineages, then the two lineages will fight for dominance over the body. I see, then if someone has a god lineage and a demon lineage, which one will take dominance? Raphael grinned inwardly. She's giving in. It depends on the lineage. Can you give me more information? Rzxs hesitated for a moment. She knew she was giving away too much information, but the answers she was getting in return were too valuable to ignore. Let's say Shadow God lineage and Weaver, the Demon of Fate lineage. Then Weaver's lineage will take dominance, Raphael said confidently. Why? I can't tell you. Why can't you tell me? Raphael locked eyes with Rzxs and said. Do you know what Weaver said about knowledge? Weaver believed that knowledge was the origin of power, and for every power there must be a price. And I bear such price, Rzxs, so I can't tell you why I say that or where do I know this knowledge from. Raphael was saying the truth. He knew what will happen in Antarctica, how many people will die, but he can't do anything. Raphael was burdened with his knowledge. I see. Raphael smiled. Now that I've answered your questions, could you answer mine? Fine. I can see Sunny's runes, and he can see mine. It's an ability he has. Raphael touched his chin, pretending to be deep in thought. I knew Sunny had a connection with the Shadow God, but I didn't think he had one with Weaver. This is really interesting. Rzxs sighed, exhaustion settling in her bones. I'm going to sleep for a while. Don't even think about doing anything stupid. Raphael chuckled but didn't reply, heading back to the front to lead Tank. After 4 days, they finally reached the Dark City. Raphael looked at Rzxs and asked, so what's the plan? We'll stay here for a month gathering supplies for our journey. By the way, Raphael said, "You didn't tell me where we're going." Neffys scanned the crumbling cityscape as she replied, "At first, my plan was to cross the Hollow Mountains, but I realized that was impossible. The remaining options are the south, west, and east. The west is unknown, no one has dared to go there. From what I know, the south is blocked by a burned forest, which leaves us with the east." Raphael nodded thoughtfully. "To be fair, I was going to suggest going east anyway." Neffys narrowed her eyes. "Weren't you the one who told me not to go east? Why change your mind now?" Raphael sighed. "Neffys, if you're planning to find another gateway, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but there's only one gateway in the east, and it's protected by a great abomination. So my plan is to find a Category 2 nightmare seed and conquer the second nightmare." Neffys raised an eyebrow. She had considered the same plan. "If you're trying to find a nightmare seed, why east? Do you know where it is?" Raphael shook his head. "Yes, but I don't know how to reach it. What I do know is that someone I met in the east knows how to find it." "I see, that someone isn't human, is it?" "No, he isn't. But you don't have to worry, he's not a monster either." "Then tell me, what's in the east?" Raphael sighed. "In the east, there's the Nightmare Desert. In the middle of it is a pyramid built by Ariel, the demon of dread, also known as the Keeper of Truth. It's said he built it to bury the truth, which is why it's called the Tomb of Ariel." He took a deep breath and continued. "The Tomb of Ariel isn't the important part. What matters is what happened in the Nightmare Desert. When the war between the gods and demons started, the Nightmare Desert became their battlefield. That's why it's called the battlefield of the gods. Every night, the soldiers rise from their graves to continue their never-ending war. Do you think we can survive there?" Neffys asked. Raphael met her gaze and smiled. "Yes, with my experience, we will. And we don't need to go deep into the Nightmare Desert, we only need to go there to find my friend. The seed is in a different area. Then it's decided. We'll go to the Nightmare Desert. How long will it take to reach your friend?" "Without the Dark Sea, maybe around 6 months. Then let's gather whatever supplies we can for the journey." "Sir, yes sir," Raphael replied with a chuckle. It had been 5 months since Raphael first met Neffys. Right now, he was on top of Tank. He looked at Neffys and asked, "What do you think, Neff?" Neffys, the one in question, looked at Raphael with a stupid look on her face. "Have you really been living here? By the gods, I really pity you, Raph. Ha ha ha, I told you the Forgotten Shore is nothing compared to this." Right now, the Nightmare Desert was in front of them. Sigh, never thought I'd come back to this hell by my own will. Not really happy with how the chapter came out, but I'm really tired, so fuck it. Neffys looked down at Raphael's lifeless body. She had already seen him like this 30 times now. Sigh, at least he didn't unsummon Tank this time. With practiced ease, she lifted Raphael's limp form and carefully placed him on Tank's back. "Tank, let's move. Your master will be angry if we don't reach the tree." 2 months had passed since they first entered the Nightmare Desert, and Raphael hadn't lied, this region wasn't made for the weak. Neffys glanced at their supplies from the Forgotten Shore. Surprisingly, there were still enough provisions to last 4 months. Her gaze shifted to Raphael's still body. "If it weren't for him, it would have taken me at least a year to get here." After 6 long hours of trudging through the desert, a distant silhouette resembling a tree came into view. Suddenly, she heard Raphael's familiar voice behind her. The sound made her exhale with relief. Even though she knew he'd regenerate, it was never easy seeing him lifeless. "Arg, did we reach the tree, Neff?" She turned to look at him. "His eyes are still regenerating." "No, but I can see it now," she replied. Raphael sighed as he sat up. After some time, he turned his face toward her, empty sockets making his expression unreadable. "Neffys, do you think I'm human anymore?" She stared at him for a moment before replying, "Why would you think you're not human?" Raphael gave her a tired smile. "In essence, humans fear death. They fear pain. They need food, water, and rest to live. But I don't fear or need those things. So, does that make me less human?" She frowned, her tone calm but firm. "Sigh. Raph, do you feel emotions? When you die or get hurt, don't you feel anger at yourself for being weak? Wrath, there are people who don't fear death, does that make them any less human? What defines us as humans is our emotions, and our desire to become more than ordinary. Raphael fell silent, absorbing her words. We're close to the tree. How much longer until you fully regenerate? She asked. About an hour, he replied. After a pause, he added, by the way, Neph, my friend might be a little racist toward you since you're a Nephilim, but don't worry. He'll still help us. Nephis stopped and glared at him. And you're telling me this now? I forgot. Rzxs. Rzxs. Are you there? Raphael's shout echoed through the barren expanse. From the tree ahead, a voice answered, laced with surprise. If it isn't Raphael, why, in the gods' name, have you come back to this hell? And you've brought someone with you. Is that a Nephilim? A second voice, sharp and disdainful, chimed in. By the gods, why is such a cursed creature still alive? Raphael glanced at Nephis, his smile awkward. Neph, let me introduce them. The one on the left is Rzxs the Mighty. The Plague of Steel, King of Kings, Conqueror of 100 Thrones. And the one on the right is Rzxs of the Nine. He's just a humble slave, the kind of slave who once slit a god's throat. It was a misunderstanding, Rzxs snapped. Nephis studied the two undead figures nailed to the massive tree and sighed. My name is Nephis. It's nice to meet you. Anyway, Raphael interrupted, I'm going to take a shower in that pool over there. Have fun chatting. As Raphael left, Rzxs turned his attention to Nephis. A Nephilim. I didn't think your kind still existed. So, why are you here, child? I don't know. Raphael said one of you would guide us to where we need to go, she replied. Rzxs grinned, his voice booming with authority. Then choose me, Nephilim. I will guide you to the shores of the underworld and through its dark expanse, back to the world of the living. You'll need someone powerful if you wish to escape. Nephis ignored him, waiting in silence for Raphael's return. 5 minutes later, Raphael came back, his hair still wet. It's your turn now. Go take a shower. Nephis nodded but hesitated. Raph, don't you dare look. Raphael chuckled. Ha ha ha, Neph, I already saw everything when you put your armor in your soul sea to repair. There's no need to be shy. Nephis turned to him, shocked. But I was sure I only did that when you were dead. Neph, as long as my brain's intact, I'm not really dead. Ha ha ha, he gave her a teasing grin. Also, I already have a woman in my heart. And you're obsessed with Sonny. You check his status every day like a stalker. I don't love Sonny. He's just a friend. Yes, a friend, she stammered. Arg, poor Sonny just got friend-zoned. Nephis huffed. Wait, who's the woman you love, then? Raphael's grin softened. The woman in my heart is none other than my mother. Her love, her care, and her cooking, top tier. Nothing compares. You love your mother? Nephis asked, her face twisting in disgust. Wait, that's not what I meant. Why would you even think, arg? Just go already. Raphael sighed as Nephis walked off toward the pool, muttering under her breath. He turned his attention back to the two undead nailed to the tree. Now then, I need a guide to help us reach the underworld. Can either of you help? Rzxs stared at him, his hollow socket somehow sharp with intensity. Why do you need to go to the underworld, Raphael? It's the only path I know to return to our world. I see. Then I will guide you, Rzxs said, his voice grave. But there's a cost. Tell me, how do you know about Aledia? Don't even think about lying to me, mortal. Raphael froze for a moment before answering carefully. I read about her, in a book. A book? Tell me more about it, Rzxs demanded. I don't know much. It spoke of the future, that's all I know. Rzxs considered this for a moment, then gave a slow nod. Very well. I will help you reach the underworld. Raphael felt a wave of relief. Thank God he agreed. Rzxs, however, wasn't so pleased. Wait, what about me, mortal? Raphael turned to him with a sigh. I'm sorry, but we only need one guide. Just then, Rzxs returned, her damp silver hair gleaming under the strange light of the desert sky. Is everything settled? Raphael nodded. Yes. Rzxs will guide us to the underworld, where the seat is. We'll leave in 3 days. The journey will take about a year. Rzxs gave a quiet nod, her expression unreadable. The journey into the underworld began on a silent river. A dark current flowed through a cavernous expanse of black stone. Fog clung to the water, veiling it in a ghostly shroud. Cutting through the mist was a slender gondola of onyx, its bow adorned with a glass lantern. Inside the lantern, a pristine white flame burned, casting an otherworldly glow on the murky surroundings. Raphael sat on the gondola, his long black hair falling over his shoulders. His light tanned skin looked pale under the lantern's light, his brown eyes fixated on the pale figure resting on his thigh. Rzxs lay curled into a ball, her silver hair draped across his lap. In the stark light, her ivory skin appeared almost translucent, her face vulnerable in sleep. Raphael's expression darkened. She hasn't eaten anything in 2 weeks, he muttered under his breath. Damn it. I already told her to eat his flesh, but she wouldn't listen. At the stern of the gondola stood Rzxs, clad in tattered rags. Despite having no lungs, no lips, and no tongue, the skeleton was humming an eerie tune. One day the gods will fall and reveal their lie. The one who sleeps will awaken to devour his children. Oh, and us all. That which was forgotten will be remembered and consume the world. Oh, all of us will dream the nightmare of the forgotten god. Raphael broke the silence. Rzxs, do you know why the 6 gods used the forgotten god to seal that place? The skeleton turned his hollow gaze toward Raphael. No, Rzxs replied. I see. Raphael murmured, his expression unreadable. Rzxs stirred, slowly opening her gray eyes. Good morning, creature, Rzxs said, his tone mocking. How have you slept? Rzxs sat up straight, her movements slow and deliberate. She didn't reply, her tired eyes locking onto Rzxs. The skeleton shrugged at her silence. Something about you feels different today. Your shadow, it seems deeper. How peculiar. Rzxs ignored him. Raphael interjected, his voice soft. You're still weak. Rest some more. She didn't answer, turning her gaze toward the fog. Are you feeling well? Rzxs asked, his tone turning sharper. You haven't spoken much these past weeks. Has your mind finally broken? Rzxs remained silent. Raphael's voice cut through the tension. Did Sunny become an ascended? Yes, she replied simply. They continued in silence, the boat gliding through the river until the fog began to part. A jagged black shore came into view, rising from the inky water like a fractured monolith. Rzxs maneuvered the gondola toward the shore, letting it scrape against the rocks before coming to a halt. This is it, you two, Rzxs announced. This is as far as I go. Raphael rose and helped Rzxs to her feet. She reached out to the lantern, allowing the white flame to travel from its crystal prison to her palm. With Raphael's assistance, she stepped onto the shore. How close are we to that place? Raphael asked. Rzxs shrugged. Close enough, I'd wager. Sorry for lying to you, by the way. But in my defense, you only have yourself to blame, Raphael. Who in their right mind believes they can cross the underworld? Even reaching this far is a miracle. He hesitated before adding, are you sure you want to go on? There are worse fates than death, creature. Trust me, I should know. Rzxs glanced back at him. What about you? What will you do now? The skeleton chuckled. Me? Oh, I don't know. Now that I'm free of that cursed tree, I don't have much time left to exist. Maybe I'll search for the remnants of the Shadow Realm and try to have a proper death. Or maybe I'll go back to torment Rzxs one last time. Spending eternity with him was the worst punishment of all. A word of advice, creature, choose your eternal companions wisely. He turned to Raphael. Perhaps I'll go to the tomb of Ariel to see Aledia. But honestly, I'm not sure I want to. Raphael nodded. Thank you, Rzxs. Without you, we'd never have reached this point. Farewell, my friend. Rzxs, already walking ahead, spoke without turning back. Thank you, Rzxs. Farewell. The skeleton watched them go, his hollow sockets fixed on the faint light of Nephis's flame as it receded into the darkness. What a foolish duo. Still, I wish them luck. Whatever they seek, I hope they find it. As their figures disappeared, the fog crept closer, veiling Rzxs in its ghostly embrace. They're not as foolish as I was, at least, he muttered. Then, the white mist swallowed him, and his voice abruptly fell quiet. Soon, impenetrable darkness reigned the cold river once again. And far in the distance, a lonely spark of light continued to climb higher and higher, soon disappearing from view. Raphael and Nephis stood in front of the nightmare seed. Are you ready? Raphael asked. No, Nephis replied. Raphael let out a small chuckle, then lightly patted her shoulder. I'll see you in the wakening world. Nephis gave a tired smile, nodding. Yes, in the wakening world. Without hesitation, they both stepped into the nightmare seed. Dreamers, prepare for your second trial. It's been a long time since I heard the nightmare spell's voice, Raphael thought. Two brave ones, welcome to the nightmare. Let's do this. We are here, gentlemen and women, the second nightmare. For this we have a 2K+ chapter. Also, just for clarification, there is no romance between the two of them. Their relationship is like a brother and sister, so please don't ask me to ship them. Raphael dreamt of nothing, there was only darkness. It enveloped his senses, leaving him adrift in a void. The emptiness continued for a minute before Raphael suddenly found himself somewhere else. He was in a prison. The space was dark and hollow, silent except for the occasional drip of water echoing off stone walls. There were no windows, no lamps, just endless blackness. The air was damp, and the cold, rough stone floor pressed against his skin. This is way different than I thought. Suddenly, Raphael heard heavy footsteps approaching from outside. My lord, this is the best meat we have. I assure you it will exceed your expectations, a raspy voice said. They're speaking in runes, Raphael realized, straining to catch every word. You must understand, Rzxs. Today, the Count's child was birthed, and he devoured his mother. He plans to celebrate the occasion, so he demands the finest meat you have. You need not worry, my lord. I shall provide the finest meat in the entire empire. The footsteps grew louder until they stopped in front of Raphael's cell. As you can see, my lord, this is number 666, the finest meat we have. I shall examine it. Open the cell. Rzxs obeyed immediately, his head bowed low. The figure before him was no ordinary being, he was a noble servant, and Rzxs dared not defy him. Raphael watched as the noble stepped into the cell. It was what he'd once called an orc, but this creature was far more sinister. Its skin was jet black, and two curved horns jutted from its head. Raphael didn't move. He could sense the overwhelming power radiating from the orc. It was at least an ascended, far beyond what he could face right now. The orc examined Raphael with cold precision. Not bad. I'll take it. How much? 25 gold coins, my lord. The orc pulled a pouch from his robes and handed it to Rzxs, who accepted it with a trembling hand. Thank you for your generosity, my lord. Make it ready quickly. I don't have time to waste. Yes, my lord. Within minutes, Raphael was prepared for transport to the Count's manor. So I'm going to be dinner for the Count today, Raphael sighed inwardly. After an hour, they arrived at the Count's manor. The structure resembled a European estate but was entirely black, even the windows. The oppressive atmosphere seemed to suffocate the air itself. The orc escorted Raphael to the back of the manor, entering through a shadowy door. They descended a flight of stairs into the depths of the building. Barbus, I've brought high-tier meat for today. Come take it, the orc barked. A grotesque figure waddled into view, clad in what appeared to be a chef's uniform, though it was soiled and blood-stained. The creature was bloated, its sagging face unnatural, almost mask-like. Tiny, beady eyes glinted under a chef's hat that was tilted at an odd angle. Barbus moved closer, his cleaver in one hand. Despite his immense size, he moved with surprising speed. He grabbed Raphael and ran his hands over him, as if inspecting livestock. It's excellent quality. Don't worry, head butler. I'll make sure it's prepared perfectly. Disgusting, how can someone look this vile? Remember to divide the meat for 2 days, the head butler ordered before leaving. Yes, head butler. Barbas turned to Raphael. Now, meat, follow me. Raphael stayed silent, following the chef into an even darker section of the manor. Barbas opened a door, and the overwhelming stench of blood assaulted Raphael's senses, making him hesitate for a moment before stepping inside. He found himself in a slaughterhouse, its walls slick with gore and its floor stained crimson. Barbas wasted no time. Raphael was forced onto a table, unable to resist as the cleaver-wielding chef prepared to butcher him. This is going to hurt, Raphael thought grimly. Barbas began peeling Raphael's skin with horrifying speed. His regeneration couldn't keep up. Every nerve screamed in agony as the chef worked, slicing his body into parts, arms, legs, chest, head, and organs, each meticulously separated. Despite being reduced to pieces, Raphael remained conscious. Barbas took Raphael's chest and arms and began cooking them, his grotesque form bustling about the kitchen. Outside the manor, a grand banquet was underway. The Count, Barbatus, stood on a raised platform, his muscular gray body towering over the guests. His head was that of an orc, adorned with 5 horns that curved ominously from his forehead. "Thank you for attending this joyous occasion," Barbatus declared. "Today is special not only because my son Vlad was born, but also because we are graced by the presence of an honored guest. To commemorate this day, I present to you a feast prepared from the finest high-tier meat. Please, enjoy." The guests applauded his speech as the feast began. After the banquet, Barbatus returned to his chambers, only to be stopped by his head butler. "My lord, the chef has encountered an unusual problem and requests your presence." "Fine. I intended to commend him for today's meal anyway." The two descended to the slaughterhouse, where Barbas greeted them eagerly. "My lord, please follow me. I must show you something." On a blood-stained table lay Raphael, his body intact, staring at the dark ceiling above. "What's the issue here?" Barbatus asked impatiently. "If I may demonstrate, my lord." Barbas raised his cleaver and severed Raphael's head. Moments later, it reattached itself, as though nothing had happened. "My lord, I swear I butchered him and cooked his parts for today's banquet, but his body regenerated entirely. Should we use him as an unlimited food source?" Barbatus studied Raphael for a moment before speaking. "Send him to the royal castle. Inform them that this creature cannot die, they'll understand." The royal castle. It's where Emperor Nether lived in the past, before the Doom War. None dared to enter it, only the 7 dukes of the underworld were permitted to enter it. The head butler thought. The head butler bowed. "As you command, my lord." Raphael listened to the 3 creatures around him. Didn't know that the underworld was an empire. In the novel it was said that the underworld was full of abominations made from darkness. Raphael found himself chained to a steel table in a sealed room. No air entered, and the oppressive silence was maddening. In the closed room a creature could be seen. The figure is a terrifying demon with a head full of twisting black horns, like a crown of nightmares. Its body is thin and dark, covered in rich red and gold robes with detailed patterns that make it look both powerful and evil. Large, tattered wings spread out behind it, and its clawed hands that can cut through shields like nothing. Raphael looked at the abomination in front of him. Sweat poured from his forehead like a river. Something is wrong, very wrong. Raphael thought. For the first time in 2 years Raphael was scared. No, scared is an underestimate. He was terrified to his core, even though he doesn't know why, it was just instinct. From the beginning, how did I lost consciousness? That shouldn't be possible unless my brain is destroyed. The last thing I remember is when I entered the royal castle, so how? The demon's voice rang out, cold and malicious, piercing Raphael's mind. "It seems you're awake, human. I am Moj, Lord of Blood and right hand of His Majesty, Emperor Nether. The demon of destiny, ruler of the underworld. Now, shall we begin the experiments? You see, your immortal body intrigues me." Raphael's thoughts screamed in panic. Sacred. That thing is at least sacred. He struggled against the chains, but they didn't budge. Ha ha ha, there's no need to rush, human. You'll be staying here for quite some time. And we have our main character of the second nightmare, Moj, Lord of Blood, Party Popper. Another chapter for reaching 100 power stones, even though I'm late by 25 power stone. If you thought the nightmare desert is hell, then let me tell you my brother Moj is 100 times worse, so you just know Raphael is fucked up. Experiment number 001 to number 010, Physical Body. 1. The subject of the experiment can heal a wound in a minute, a missing limb in an hour, and the whole body in 12 hours. 2. The regeneration start from the largest part with flesh, bone, and blood. This piqued the question, what will happen when all parts have the same weight? 3. When all parts have same weight, an error emerges. The body will try to regenerate all parts, making the process slower by 4 times. Moj looked at the papers in his hand, he was excited. Someone finally survived his experiments. Now that we finished the physical body part, we will go to the mind now. Experiment number 011, Mind Endurance. Ushering one of his abilities, Moj unleashed a devastating mind attack at Raphael. Raphael for the first time felt a new type of pain. It was like his head being hammered 1,000 of times in a second. It hurts so much. Make it stop. Arg, stop it. Boom. Raphael's head blows up, his brain scattered around the room. It seems the subject can endure a sacred mind attack for 1.8 seconds, which is quite high for someone weak as him. After Raphael fully regenerated, Moj did the same thing again, and again, and again. The subject mind endurance raised from 1.8 seconds to 3 seconds. It seems that subject body is adapting to the mind attack. The adaptation is not normal either, it's far exceed the normal. Moj continued experimenting on Raphael's mind. I'm not 100% sure, but it seems that the subject body doesn't just heal physically but also psychologically. This begs the question, if the subject became corrupted, would he heal from it and returns normal? No, this is too dangerous to experiment on. 1. Experiments number 011 to number 030, Mind. 1. The subject has a high mind endurance capable to endure a sacred mind attack for 1.8 seconds in the first time. 2. The subject has a high adaptability, far exceeds normal. 3. Theoretically the subject can heal his psychological state. If my theories about corruption is right, then the subject can also be healed from corruption. Ha ha ha. Human, you're truly a gift which was sent by His Majesty. Stop. Please stop, I beg you, I can't take it anymore. Raphael said, tears came from his eyes. But you do, human, you can take it. You were gifted with such an ability. I really envy you. Tomorrow we will begin experimenting on your soul. Moj said while he was leaving the room. Experiment number 031, Soul. Moj did the same thing as he did to Raphael's mind. Raphael felt like he was being torn apart by 5 bulls, but they were doing it slowly, letting him feel the pain, with insects eating him from the inside at the same time. Suddenly Raphael went limp. There was no explosion or anything. He just went limp. Inside his soul, see the star which was burning before broke into pieces, making his warm, bright soul see becomes cold, and filled with darkness. The subject endures for around 2.3 seconds. After some time Raphael waked up again. The subject soul healing has the same time same as his physical body. Moj walked towards the door and opened it. In front of him is a thin man draped in a tattered, hooded robe, with a pale, mask-like face that gives him a mysterious, almost ghostly appearance. His attire is simple, rough, and worn, adding to his enigmatic presence. Have you brought what I asked for, Ver? Yes, my lord, they are ready. Ver replied calmly. Good, bring them in. Raphael opened his eyes, his once bright brown eyes became dull and lifeless. You waked up, human. That's good, I brought you a gift. Moj said while he was smiling from ear to ear. In Moj's hand was a needle filled with a white substance that shone brightly. On the back of the room there was around 10,000 like the needle. You see, each needle has around 100 soul fragments inside of it, and all 10,000 needles will go inside of your soul. What? I can't. I can only store 1,000 soul fragments inside my soul. Raphael screamed. Oh, We will see about that, ha ha ha. You see, I have a theory about the soul, but I couldn't confirm my theory because my subject's soul were too weak to survive my experiments, but you are different. Tell me what is your theory is. Raphael screamed. Eager aren't you? Don't worry, you will know it soon. Moho said, his face smiling like the devil himself. Moj inserted the needle inside Raphael's soul core directly, doing something never heard of. Raphael felt stronger, way stronger than before. He summoned his soul fragments runes. Soul fragments, 114 1,000ths. The second one came, then the third, fourth, eighth, then came the ninth one. Soul fragments, 914 1,000ths. Wait, stop. Huff, any more and my soul will be destroyed. I beg you, stop please. But Moj didn't even glance at Raphael and inserted the 10th one. Arg. Raphael looked inside his soul sea. His soul core was cracking. The soul core is like a ball, the more air you pump the stronger it became, but when you reach a certain line the ball blows up. At the same time Moj inserted the 14th one, and then Raphael's soul core broke to pieces. Moj stopped talking, waiting for Raphael revival. When Raphael wake up, Moj smiled, his tusks could be seen. The soul is also like a muscle. When you destroy a muscle and then heal it, it will become more stronger than before. The soul is the same thing, the only problem is you can't heal a destroyed soul, but here you are defying the world laws. Raphael looked down and summoned his soul fragments runes. Soul fragments, 1014 1014. Ha ha ha. Ah, why was I cursed with such power? The experiments continued, be it his soul, mind, or body, it was all experimented on. Raphael had once screamed, gradually, he lost his voice. He had once cried, gradually, he lost his tears. He had once grieved, gradually, he became able to withstand everything. All he has left is an expressionless face, his gaze is as tough as a monolith, only perseverance remains in his heart. Raphael summoned his soul fragments again. Soul fragments, 22,314 22,314. In another place 8 creatures sat in a circle, the 7 looked at Moj, the one who called them to this meeting. Moj looked at the 7 before him, they were none other than the 7 dukes of the underworld. I have summoned you here to make a decision. Moj looked at his subordinate Ver and nodded his head. Ver understood his lord and started giving files to the dukes. After reading the file, the dukes looked at Moj. One of the 7 dukes spoke. Is everything real? Yes, none is fabricated. But how is that possible? One of the dukes asked. It doesn't matter how, what does matter is that he can survive. So I want to make a vote decision, if Subject 876 will be given Our Majesty lineage. And become the Emperor of the Underworld. As you know, the corruption is infiltrating the underworld, we need a new ruler. So, chose if he will be our next ruler. 5 hands were up and 3 were down. Moj smiled. Then it's decided. I shall start the preparations. Raphael looked at Moj. For the first time he didn't see him holding a paper or a needle. This time he was holding a cup made of with black diamonds. Inside the cup is golden liquid, the liquid looked divine, something mortal shouldn't dare touch. Experiment number 1000, Ichor. Moj walked towards Raphael and opened Raphael's mouth and made him drink it. First there was nothing, then his body started melting, his head, chest, everything starting melting. Raphael, even when his brain melt, he was still consciousness, he felt pain like never before, but it was tolerable. After full 4 days of regenerating and melting, Raphael fully regenerated. He felt some changes in his body. In Moj's eyes he saw what people will call divine. He stood tall and powerful, his broad shoulders and well-defined muscles giving him an imposing presence. His smooth skin stretched over a lean, sculpted body, each muscle clearly defined. His long, black hair flowed past his shoulders, framing a strong, angular face with sharp features, a chiseled jawline and high cheekbones. But it was his eyes that stood out the most. Dark and intense, they seemed to pierce through everything. Moj took a clothes and put it on Raphael, he then left Raphael's body and went outside of the room. Moj walked through the halls until he reached an open area. It was so large it can fit millions of people. The place was decorated with pillars that reached the sky. Moj continued walking until he reached the end. In the end there was a throne, made from finest materials that existed in the world. Moj walked the stairs until he reached the throne and put Raphael above it. He then backed down and knelt on his knees. Suddenly chains came from the back of the throne holding Raphael. And then, everything became dark, and in the dark Raphael heard a voice. "Your nightmare is over." In another place an armored woman could be seen. She lay her back at the wall waiting for that thing to come, to kill her. "I'm sorry Raph. I don't think we will meet again." Nefis looked at the runes in front of her. "Sonny, it seems you get your freedom back." Suddenly everything went dark, she couldn't see anything. And in that darkness she heard something. "Your nightmare is over." This the reason that Raphael is still sane, without it he would have gone insane from the beginning. 3 chapters in a day. Ain't I the best? The second nightmare is over. I knew it was fast, but what could I say? There wasn't really anything to do, other than Raphael being tortured, tears of joy. See you next time. Your nightmare is over. Prepare for appraisal. Once again, Raphael found himself in the space between dream and reality. The boundless black void was illuminated by a myriad of stars, with countless strings of silver light connecting them together to form an infinite, beautiful pattern. But Raphael didn't care how beautiful the spell is, he remained silent, waiting for the nightmare spell to finish its appraisal. Dreamer, your trial is over. A nameless human found himself prisoned in the underworld. He was chosen to be the feast of the Count banquet, but thanks to his uniqueness he survived. The Count sent him to the royal castle where he met Moj, Lord of Blood, the right hand of the Demon of Destiny. After thousands of experiments and by the approval of the 7 dukes he was chosen to receive nether lineage, becoming the new ruler of the underworld. You have received the Demon of Destiny, nether lineage. You have achieved the impossible. Final appraisal, glorious. Your perseverance truly knows no bounds. Dreamer Raphael, receive your boon. You have been bestowed a true name, the Black Emperor. Raphael looked at the spell appraisal, and chuckled. Isn't this too coincidental? From his aspect to the second nightmare. There is no way someone will survive nether lineage, only an immortal can. It was like I'm fated to receive it. Haha. Is this how Sonny felt? Being a pawn in someone else's game. Your aspect is ready to evolve. Evolve aspect. Yes. Raphael said nonchalantly. Sacred aspect undying is evolving. New aspect acquired. Aspect rank, divine. Aspect name, the Fool. 1. Suddenly Raphael felt his soul started burning. The heat that was building up in Raphael's soul had reached a critical point, and then exploded. It felt as though his core was being torn apart, but it wasn't something new to him. The same thing happened 5 more times, each time was worse than before. Raphael entered his soul sea and what he saw was far different than before. Before there was only one bright soul core, now there was 7 dark orbs in the sky. The blue sea became dark as oil. And threads of silver were everywhere in his soul sea. Suddenly Raphael heard the spell voice again. The second seal is broken. Awakening dormant powers. Raphael felt something changing in his 7 soul cores. They were radiating an ethereal, but almost palpable heat. The energy was circulating through his entire body, changing it, making it stronger. It was somewhat similar to the strange feeling he got every time he absorbed a soul fragment, but so much more powerful. 1,000 times more powerful. He felt every fiber of his being was soon full of the mysterious energy. The familiar euphoric feeling overwhelmed him. Raphael started examining his new body. He felt like he was born anew. Awakening aspect ability. Opening square bracket ... Aspect ability acquired. Aspect ability name, Seer. Raphael summoned his new ability runes, but before that he heard the spell, again. The third seal is broken. Awakening dormant powers. After Raphael has awakened, he was now about to be ascended. Just as before, he felt as though something was waking up inside him. His 7 soul cores ignited with intense heat, the power within them surging. The heat spread through his soul and his body, rejuvenating and changing them. The feeling was familiar and euphoric. He felt his body being reforged into a stronger, better, more perfect version of itself. His soul was going through the same sublime transformation. This process was already familiar to Raphael, since more or less the same thing had happened to him twice before. However, this time, something was different. Instead of stopping after reaching the threshold of qualitative change and immense fortification, the transformation continued. His body and soul, both turned incandescent and malleable by the furious heat flowing through them, started to melt into each other. They were slowly merging. But they were not simply joining into a single whole. Instead, the two parts of his being resonated with each other, reinforcing one another. The power of that resonance grew stronger and stronger, and then exploded once it reached his 7 cores. Under the influence of the resonance, the threshold was demolished, pushing him even further on the path of evolution. And as his body and soul became one, a profound change took place. Suddenly, Raphael felt the soul essence coursing through every fiber of his being with stark clarity. The difference was so staggering. Additionally, since his body and soul were now deeply interconnected, the effect of one on another also went through a fundamental change. He could do much more, and with much less. This was the true boon of the Ascension. Slowly, the heat suffusing his newly reforged self subsided and turned into a pleasant coldness. The coldness then disappeared, absorbed into his spirit, his flesh, and his bones. The spell spoke from the darkness. Awakening aspect ability. Aspect ability acquired. Opening square bracket ... Aspect ability name, Hades. The spell was not done, its voice resounded once again. Your attribute has evolved. You have gained 2 new attributes. The spell paused for a moment, and then added solemnly. Your ascension is completed. Raphael was stunned. There was too much information that it took 5 seconds to register everything. He then summoned his status runes, to see what changed. Name, Raphael. True name, the Black Emperor. Rank, Ascended. Class, Titan. Soul cores, 7/7. Soul fragments, 13/14. Memories, Warrior Trust, Hunter Scythe. Echoes, Dreadgoal. Attributes, Fated. At hash. €4 absolute regeneration, Flame of Divinity, ruler of the underworld. Aspect, the Fool. Aspect rank, Divine. Aspect description, you are the one who fooled not only death, but the world including yourself. Innate ability, Immortality. Ability description, you are immortal in blood, bone, flesh, soul, spirit, mind, and shadow. In essence, you cannot die. Aspect abilities, Self-sovereignty, Seer, Hades. Aspect ability, Self-sovereignty description, you can control your body, soul, spirit, and mind to your desire. Aspect ability, Seer description, you can see the destiny of all things. Aspect ability, Hades description, as the ruler of the underworld you can open its gates, summoning both the darkness and your servants to aid you. Flaw, Masochist. Flaw description, you will feel pain 3 times more intensely than a normal person. Ha ha ha, these powers truly befits an emperor. Raphael didn't waste time and summoned his new attributes runes. Attribute, Absolute regeneration. Attribute description, you can regenerate your whole being in a minute. Attribute, Flame of Divinity. Attribute description, your soul is a flame with the light of divinity. Attribute, Ruler of the underworld. Attribute description, you are the one and only ruler of the underworld, all of the underworld kneels towards you, and none shall defy your orders. Raphael read his status several times over. After some time, Raphael threw his head back and let out a loud, triumphant laugh. As his laughter echoed in the darkness, the spell whispered into his ear. Opening square bracket ... Wake up, Raphael. Your nightmare is over. 1. Why did I chose the Fool as his aspect name? 1. The Fool represents a new beginning, which something you will understand next chapter. 2. In the novel Lord of the Mysteries, the Fool pathway is known for their divination abilities, which aligns perfectly with Raphael's role as the demon of destiny's heir. 3. In Lord of the Mysteries, Beyonders of the Fool pathway are known for their exceptional survival rates. At higher sequences, they even possess the ability to revive from death, an attribute that complements Raphael's immortality. 4. I'm really bad with names. Pensive face. 5. The Fool kinda looks like a cool name. The next chapter will be the end of V2 Madness, and just for you my dear readers I will upload it sometime today. Deep underground, in a heavily fortified chamber, a sleeping pod glowed faintly in the suffocating darkness. Inside, a young man with long black hair, pale skin, and a powerful physique lay dormant, his features eerily serene. Then, without warning, his eyes twitched beneath his eyelids. Moments later, they snapped open, black irises surrounding stark white pupils. Raphael exhaled deeply, his breath steady, and with a sharp motion, slammed his fist into the pod's reinforced door. The metal door buckled and hissed open. Raphael stepped out, immediately assaulted by an oppressive wave of heat. The atmosphere was stifling, as though the very air was aflame. Boom! An explosion suddenly erupted to his left, shaking the entire facility. Raphael turned toward the source of the sound, his expression calm but tinged with disdain. It seems you still lost your mind, Neph. How pathetic. He began striding toward the disturbance, the alarms screaming through the corridors. A quick glance down reminded him of his state, completely unclothed. With a thought, he activated his aspect. Darkness surged forth, wrapping around him like a living thing, shaping itself into an elegant black kimono. Raphael continued forward, entering a room consumed by chaos. A sea of white fire raged within, burning with a terrifying intensity. At its center stood a figure, feminine and humanoid in form, her body engulfed in the roaring flames. Unfazed, Raphael stepped inside. The darkness rose from his feet, devouring the flames as it advanced. The room became a battleground of opposites, one half dominated by his consuming darkness, the other by Nephiz's unrelenting fire. From the hallways, hurried footsteps echoed. 2 squads of seasoned warriors stormed in from either side, clad in enchanted armor and armed with memory weapons. Their movements were sharp, their presence commanding. Before they could engage, Raphael's voice cut through the chaos. Leave. The one before you is a master, you're no match for her. I'll handle this. The soldiers hesitated, uncertainty flickering in their eyes, but Raphael ignored them. Nephis suddenly prepared to attack Raphael. Since Raphael was controlling the darkness, the natural enemy of fire, Nephis attacked him instinctively. Raphael used his soul essence and activated his awakened ability, Seer. In Raphael's eyes, silver threads appeared, each one representing different outcomes and possibilities. Among them, one silver thread was intertwined with a golden thread, fate thread. Raphael divined Nephiz's attack. Before she could strike, Raphael calmly stepped 3 paces to the side. Nephis unleashed a blazing fire beam at where he had been, but it missed him entirely. Raphael looked at the corner of the room and said, "Little shadow, shouldn't you help your master?" He glanced toward a darkened corner of the room and spoke. "Little shadow, shouldn't you help your master?" From the shadows, Sunny froze, his heart pounding. How did he sense me? And, how does he know about the shadow bond? Suddenly from the corner of the room Sunny rolled out of the shadows and coughed, feeling terrible heat, smoke, and scalding steam assault him. He had used Shadow Step to jump to the underground level of the hospital complex almost as soon as the ground trembled, and only had time to summon the Undying Chain. "What do you mean? Are you saying she's my master?" Sunny snapped, his voice a mixture of disbelief and defiance. Raphael's black eyes glinted. "I can sense the connection between her shadow and you. Stop being foolish and help her, or I'll kill her myself." It was a bluff. Raphael couldn't sense the connection, and he had no intention of killing Nephis. But Sunny didn't know that. Sunny gritted his teeth but didn't argue. Sunny walked forward towards the radiating figure. He closed in on the radiant being, allowing the shadow lantern to devour all the light around and submerge the hallway in absolute darkness. For a moment, everything became black. Raphael felt the darkness surrounding him became more stronger with absence of light. Sunny moved forward, taking the moment to close in on the radiant figure. And then, 2 furious white eyes ignited in the blackness. A moment later, a white silhouette became visible again, surrounded by a blinding glow. That glow pushed against the darkness, on the verge of vanquishing it. However, Sunny was already near the radiant figure. He could attack it freely. But he did not. An incandescent hand shot forward, aimed at his throat. Sunny allowed it to grab his forearm, instead. A terrible pressure and heat descended on his arm, slowly turning the steel of the undying chain bright orange. He could feel his flesh beneath it starting to burn. But he still did not attack. Instead, Sunny dismissed his helmet and looked straight at the flame apparition. Stop. His arm was in a sea of blazing pain. Refusing to move, Sunny looked at the beautiful radiant face in front of him. Stop. It's me. Slowly, a vague hint of recognition appeared in the burning white eyes of the radiant monster. The blinding light emanating from her skin dimmed a little. Sunny gritted his teeth. Changing star. Her hand trembled. The stark inhumanity of her face grew less frightening. The apparition opened its mouth. Her voice was hoarse and awkward, as if covered in rust after not being used for a long, long time. Sunny. He forced out a pale smile. It's me. Snap out of it, damn it. The radiant figure, Nephis, froze. Slowly, the light suffusing her skin dimmed, and then became extinguished. The fire devouring the underground level weakened, too, allowing the fire suppression systems to douse it. Standing naked amidst the devastation caused by her, Changing Star stared at Sunny with a confused expression. Then, she suddenly swayed, and fell down. Sunny was barely quick enough to fall to his knees and catch her. As he cradled Nephis's unconscious form, he looked up to find Raphael standing over them. "Who are you?" Sunny demanded, his voice sharp. Raphael summoned a flowing cloak of darkness. It wrapped itself around Nephis, covering her pale, trembling body. "You can call me her companion," Raphael replied calmly. "What do you mean by that?" Raphael's expression remained unreadable. "Ask her when she wakes up. For now, take care of her." Without another word, Raphael turned and walked away. At the doorway, he glanced back. "When she wakes up, tell her Raphael will come to meet her soon." Sunny said nothing, watching as Raphael disappeared into the corridor. Raphael continued walking until he reached the door leading outside the hospital complex. Pushing the door open, he found two women waiting. The first was a short young woman with long blonde hair cascading down her back. Her pale skin was accented by a half-silver mask that covered her eyes. The second was taller, with dark wavy hair, alabaster skin, and piercing red eyes like polished rubies. She wore a perfectly tailored, jet-black business suit that radiated elegance. Cassie's expression turned to shock as she saw Raphael. "Who is he? I didn't see him in my visions." Raphael walked toward her, but before he could get close, a sword came to rest against his neck. He turned his gaze to its wielder, a young woman with a fiery demeanor. "Who are you?" Morgan demanded, her grip on the sword steady. Raphael met her glare with calm, unwavering black eyes. "It's none of your business who I am, woman," he said coldly. Morgan, her pride stung by his dismissive tone, slashed at his neck. The blade collided with a solid wall of darkness, stopping dead in its tracks. She leapt back, creating distance between them, her eyes narrowing in suspicion. Raphael didn't even spare her another glance. He walked toward Cassie, placing a hand on her frail shoulder. Bending down, he whispered softly in her ear. "Look at you, acting all surprised when you already knew this would happen." Cassie flinched and stepped back, summoning her echo. Raphael chuckled, his voice calm and amused. Without breaking stride, he continued toward the exit. As he walked, he spoke casually over his shoulder. "Ha ha ha, we'll meet again soon, Lady Cassie." Cassie used her ability at Raphael before he left, but only to be blocked by threads of silver. Raphael was in the academy library. In front of him was a device. He pressed the keyboards, searching for something. World War III. That's what Raphael searched. Raphael skipped most of the titles until he reached what he wanted. The start of World War III. Raphael pressed on the title, and a lot of information came up, so he started reading. It was said that what started World War III was a missile that had gone off course, launched by one of the countries of the Old World. The missile landed in S country on the road between Y city and X city, killing 218 civilians. Ha 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 ha. Raphael laughed. How could he not, when he was there when the missile landed? Raphael summoned his attributes and smiled. For the first time, he could see his attributes. Attributes: Fated Time Traveler, Absolute Regeneration, Flame of Divinity, Ruler of the Underworld. Attribute: Time Traveler. Attribute description: Even though he could now read the attribute, it seemed he still couldn't read its description, not that it mattered now. Perhaps I've never left my hometown, but I will never be able to return home. Tears came from his left eye. How pathetic you are, Raphael. From the beginning, you tried not to think about such a possibility. Trying to escape the painful truth. Raphael rose from his seat and went to find a hidden place to create a tether. He could feel he was connected to a gateway in the dream realm. Raphael emerged into a dark expanse, where massive white pillars reached endlessly toward the heavens. On either side of him, countless figures knelt, their heads pressed to the ground, whispering indecipherable chants. The crowd formed a pathway leading to a colossal ancient throne carved from black stone. To the throne's right stood a towering figure with flaming red hair, 4 black eyes, 4 muscular arms, and 2 sharp horns jutting from his forehead. He was clad in onyx black armor that glinted faintly in the dim light. To the left was a pale-skinned woman with pink hair and piercing red eyes. She appeared human, except for the 2 magnificent wings extending from her back. Standing directly before the throne was none other than Moj, Lord of Blood. Raphael walked forward without hesitation. As he did, his black kimono shimmered and unraveled, revealing his toned form. From behind him, a hand formed of pure darkness emerged, holding a magnificent Chinese-style kimono embroidered with golden dragons. The hand dressed him in the new garment as if in reverence. Raphael, unbothered, continued his steady march toward the throne. When he reached it, Moj stepped forward, his face streaked with tears. Your Majesty, Moj whispered, his voice trembling. I have waited millennia for this moment. Taking a crown from the altar, Moj placed it gently on Raphael's head before stepping aside, bowing low. Raphael ascended the stairs to the throne. It seemed to hum with energy, calling to him, welcoming him. He sat. As soon as he did, Moj knelt and let out a deafening cry. All hail Raphael. The others followed in unison, their voices shaking the pillars. All hail the Black Emperor. The son of destiny. The ruler of the underworld. All hail the Emperor, the one who will devour the world. From his perch atop the throne, Raphael gazed down upon the sea of reverent figures chanting his name. A new contender for the throne of humanity was born that day. Volume 2, Madness, End. Volume 3, Emperor, opening quote. I warned you, sovereigns, but you refused to listen. Now, you shall bear my wrath. Absolute Cinema. See you in the next volume. Hand waving. Volume 3, Emperor, opening quote. I warned you, sovereigns, but you refused to listen. Now, you shall bear my wrath. Raphael looked down at the crowd below, hailing him. He didn't feel anything, still detached from emotions. He knew the truth. They weren't hailing him because they loved him. No, not at all. He was a prisoner they mustn't let leave. They needed to protect him at all costs because he was their last hope. Their last hope for their true emperor to return. By taking the Nether lineage, Raphael had become a vessel for Nether to revive in his body. Raphael chuckled. He knew that for every power, there must be a price, and becoming Nether's vessel was the price. The good thing was that he was too weak for Nether to revive in his body. It would take a long time before the revival process began. Raphael raised his hand to silence the crowd. And they obeyed. He looked down at Moj and asked, Do you know who I am? You are our emperor and the ruler of the underworld, your majesty, Moj replied. I didn't mean it like that. Have we met before? No, your majesty. This is the first time we have met. I see. Then how did you know that I am truly your emperor? I can feel it inside you, His Majesty Emperor Nether's lineage. Raphael remained silent. If you plan to use me, I will use you too. He rose from the throne and looked at the crowds. Residents of the underworld, your emperor has returned. The crowd screamed, hailing and cheering. Raphael looked at them and smiled. Don't worry. I will use you all well. He looked back at Moj and said, lead the way, Moj, to the armory. As you pledge, your majesty, Moj replied. While walking toward the armory, Raphael asked, tell me about the conditions of the underworld. We're not in a good state, my lord. The corruption has taken 90% of the underworld. The remaining 10% is the capital, protected by His Majesty Nether's spells, Moj replied. How did you lose so much land? The one leading the corruption is an unholy titan, your majesty. Raphael chuckled. So that's why they want Nether to return. Do you know about the nightmare spell? Yes, most of the awakened in the underworld have been infected by the spell. Do you know how to create memories? Yes, my lord, Moj replied. Good. Take this kimono and make it a memory. Enchant it with self-repair, self-cleaning, temperature control, and high defense against mind and soul attacks. It will be done, my lord. Moj clicked his fingers, and another kimono appeared. Raphael gave his kimono to Moj and wore the new one. We are here, your majesty, Moj said calmly. Raphael nodded and entered the armory. Hundreds of armors and weapons were scattered across the room. Moj, give me the best armor you have here. If you want armor for yourself, my lord, come with me. Where are we going? Raphael asked. To the vault, where every creation of Emperor Nether is stored. Raphael was stunned. Ha ha ha, no wonder everyone wants to join a clan. How could they not when you're pampered with memories? They reached the vault. Moj opened it and walked inside, with Raphael following. Your Majesty, please do not be offended by my words, but since you're too weak, most of the armories can't be used. However, I have the perfect armor for you, my lord. Moj approached one of the armors on display. The armor was a dark masterpiece made of jagged black plates that looked as if they were carved from darkness itself. Sharp spikes and horns jutted out, giving it a menacing, otherworldly appearance. A flowing black cloak behind it seemed to absorb light, adding to its eerie presence. Every detail, from intricate carvings to twisted edges, spoke of ancient power and hidden danger. It wasn't just armor, it was fear and authority incarnate. This armor was created by Emperor Nether from the scales and bones of a dragon that once ruled the underworld. It has abnormal defense against physical, elemental, mind, and soul attacks. Even someone above your rank would struggle to damage it. The armor also has enchantments such as self-repair and weight changing. It can accommodate 3 charm memories to enhance its enchantments. So, Mantle of the Underworld, but 10 times better, Raphael thought. I'll take it, Raphael said. Yes, but my lord, I must inform you, it has one side effect. You cannot own another armor. If you do, this one will destroy itself. Is this what they call the pride of a dragon? Raphael chuckled. Initially, he had planned to take another armor and wear 2 simultaneously, but it seemed that wasn't possible. It's fine. I'll take it. Then you need to pour your essence into the armor. It will merge with you. Raphael did as instructed. The onyx armor opened from the middle and lunged at him like a beast devouring its prey. Raphael didn't resist. The armor fully enveloped him and began merging with his body, becoming one. After 5 minutes, it was complete. He heard the spell's voice whisper in his ears. You have received an attribute. Raphael summoned his attributes rune. Attributes: Fated Time Traveler, Absolute Regeneration, Flame of Divinity, Ruler of the Underworld, Dragon Wrath. Attribute: Dragon Wrath. Attribute description: In the deep darkness of the underworld, a prideful demon forged 7 suits of splendid armor for his favorite creations. This suit was created from the blood and flesh of the dragon that wreaked havoc in the underworld. Attribute traits: Living Stone, Feather of Truth, Adamantine, Underworld Armaments, Mantle, Shell, Bound, Berserker. Raphael recognized most traits but noted changes. Stalwart became Adamantine, as it was stronger than Marble Shell. Underworld Armament was now Armaments, as it could hold more than 1 charm. There was also a new trait, Berserker. Attribute trait: Berserker. Attribute trait description: the more blood you shed, the stronger you become. Closing square bracket. Sigh, I truly pity my enemies. Your Majesty, are you pleased with the armor? Moj asked. Yes, Moj, I am. Then we will need a weapon for you. What weapon do you use? I'm not much of a fighter and have never wielded a weapon. So, here's my order, you will train me. Moj knelt. It will be my honor to train you, Your Majesty. It had been 3 days since Raphael began training with Moj. Your Majesty, Moj said, concern evident in his tone, please forgive my bluntness, but you have no talent in swordsmanship or any other weapon. Raphael sighed, wiping the sweat from his brow. Is that so? Yes, but I can see you have potential in martial arts. Raphael raised a skeptical brow. And what can martial arts accomplish against a swordsman who will cut me to pieces? Your Majesty, Moj said respectfully, when you merged with the armor, your body became as strong as a transcendent weapon. You can cut and destroy anything, even one rank above you. I see, Raphael replied thoughtfully. Then let's focus on martial arts. I must admit, my lord, I do not possess extensive knowledge in martial arts. However, worry not, I have already summoned someone for this purpose. From behind Moj, a massive figure emerged. A towering man, at least 3 meters tall, stepped forward. Raphael recognized him as the being who had stood to the right of the throne during his coronation. The man knelt before Raphael and spoke, his deep voice reverberating through the chamber. It is an honor to meet your Majesty. I am Kratos, one of the 7 dukes of the underworld. Supreme rank, Raphael thought, assessing him. And the pink-haired one. Yes, your Majesty, Moj confirmed. Her name is Lilith. She is also one of the 7 dukes. I only saw 2, Raphael remarked. Where are the others? 3 of them have fallen, and 2 have been corrupted, Moj said, his voice laced with anger. I see, sigh. Let's begin training, Raphael said, turning his focus back to Kratos. As you command, my lord, Kratos replied. 3 weeks passed, and Raphael's progress was astounding. Though still far from mastering his abilities, he had grown exponentially stronger. I can last 5 minutes against Nephis now, Raphael thought, a small smirk tugging at his lips. It was a significant improvement, especially in such a short time. He was sparring with Kratos. The air crackled with tension as Raphael dodged a series of relentless attacks, right punches, left kicks, and brutal uppercuts. Kratos allowed no opening for a counterattack, pushing Raphael to his limits. In a moment of desperation, Raphael made a small error, a slip of footing. Kratos capitalized instantly, delivering a crushing blow to Raphael's stomach. The impact sent him flying across the room, coughing blood as he hit the ground. Lying flat on the floor, Raphael groaned. That's enough for today. As you command, your Majesty, Kratos replied, bowing slightly. Moj approached with a towel in hand. Your Majesty, the 4 humans and the Nephilim you ordered us to watch are gathering in one place. Raphael's lips curled into a predatory smile. Then I will leave the underworld for about a week, he announced. As you pledge, my lord, Moj said. Volume 3 is here. You know what it means. It's the Antarctica arc. Thanks for reading. And I'm really sorry for being late, I fucking slept like a log for a whole fucking day. Fresh air, didn't know I'm gonna miss it that much, Raphael muttered as he strode toward the government building. He needed funds to prepare for the gathering. Unfortunately, Raphael didn't have a single cent to his name. That's why he was heading to the government building, not only to sell some fallen shards but also to handle another pressing matter. As he walked, whispers floated through the crowd. Hey, is he an awakener? A girl asked in a hushed tone. No, look how hot he is. He is at least a master. Her friend replied, her voice excited. Fucking hell, man, he is huge. I really pity his girlfriend, a boy said, laughing. Yeah, man, I bet it's at least 8 inches, another boy chimed in from a distance. No way. It's at least 12 inches, a girl added, joining the conversation. What the fuck do you think he is? A horse. The first boy snapped back. Some started snapping pictures, others filmed videos. Slap. The crowd fell silent. Raphael turned around to see an older woman, at least in her 60s, grinning at him. Ho ho, you've got a nice ass there, boy. Not a bit of fat, it's all muscle. Am I being sexually assaulted right now? Raphael thought, raising an eyebrow. Grandma, you should aim for someone your age, Raphael said, his tone calm but firm. Hey, and what do you know? Most of them can't even get hard, the granny replied, shrugging. You're not wrong. Before Raphael could say anything else, a woman in her 30s rushed over. Mother, what are you doing? She exclaimed, pulling the older woman back. She turned to Raphael and bent slightly in apology. I'm so sorry, sir. I don't know what's gotten into her. No, it's fine. I understand, Raphael said with a polite smile. But I'm in a bit of a hurry. I need to meet someone. He turned and continued walking toward the government building. After taking a few steps, the daughter turned to her mother and asked, how did it feel? You wouldn't understand, Sarah, it felt heavenly. Sarah's face showed clear regret. I should have asked for his number. Aren't you married? Does that matter? Just look at his abs and those juicy muscles, Sarah said, sighing wistfully. Others nearby, both women and men, nodded in agreement. Raphael, now an ascended, could still hear them. Yeah, I'm definitely being sexually assaulted, he thought, shaking his head. After an hour of walking and enjoying the fresh air of the waking world, Raphael finally reached the government building. Inside, hundreds of people were seated, waiting for their turn. He walked straight to the receptionist. The man looked up, only to see a 6 feet 7 inches 200 centimeters Titan standing before him. Yes, how can I help you? The receptionist asked, his voice steady but tinged with awe. I'm here to sell some soul shards, Raphael replied. Of course, sir. May I ask what shards you have? Raphael didn't answer immediately. Instead, he activated his ability, Hades, to transport the shards from the underworld. These are 5 fallen shards. How much did they sell for? Silence. Everyone in the building froze, staring at the shards. Sir, may I ask what rank you are? Master, he replied. From what clan are you? I'm not in a clan. Do you work for the government, then? No. Sir, could you please wait a moment? The receptionist stood and walked to a telephone. After 5 minutes, he returned. Sir, please come with me. Someone would like to meet you. Following the receptionist, Raphael entered an elevator. They ascended to the top floor, walking down a long hallway before stopping at a door. The receptionist knocked. Come in. The receptionist opened the door for Raphael to enter. Inside was a tall, gaunt man in his late 50s. His sharp features, piercing gaze, and raven black hair, untouched by age, gave him an imposing presence. It's an honor to meet someone like you, Saint Cor, Raphael said. It's an honor to meet you as well. Raphael. Yes, Raphael. Please, have a seat. The receptionist left, closing the door behind him. So, Raphael, you're not affiliated with any clan, correct? Yes. Do you plan to join one? No, I don't. Then, would you consider working for the government? We can. Saint Cor, may I ask you something? Raphael interrupted. Saint Cor, startled but composed, replied, yes, you may ask anything. Raphael shifted in his seat, his gaze sharp and unyielding. How does it feel to be a slave to the sovereigns? He asked, his voice dripping with disdain. Saint Cor froze, his expression hardening. Summoning his memories, he stood, his voice laced with killing intent. Who are you? You haven't answered my question yet, Raphael said, unfazed. I said, who are you? Before Saint Cor could finish, 7 ethereal figures emerged from Raphael's feet, circling the room. Saint Cor's eyes widened. They aren't human, and they're ranks, saints. Answer my question, Saint Cor. Gritting his teeth, the man finally spoke. What do you want me to do? They're sovereigns. The entire world is under their control. Pathetic, Raphael scoffed. I can help you. How? By making me your slave, too. No. We'll form an alliance. When the war for the throne of humanity begins between Anvil and Ki Song, you won't join either side. How can a master with only 7 saints oppose the sovereigns? Raphael chuckled. You think I'll oppose the sovereigns with just this? No, Saint Core, no. I have an army capable of conquering the dream realm and killing the sovereigns within a year. The 7 saints disappeared as Raphael stood and walked toward the door. I'll give you 2 weeks to decide. When you've made your decision, call me. Also, have the receptionist create an ID and a bank account for me. Who are you? Saint Core asked again. You'll know soon enough, Raphael replied before leaving. Saint Core sat back in his chair, staring at the phone, and made a call. Another one. Raphael now stood in front of a house. After his conversation with Saint Core, the receptionist had helped him set up an ID and a bank account. He then bought a phone, a SIM card, and the other supplies he needed. He rang the doorbell and waited. A second passed, then he rang it again, and again. Damnation. I heard you the first time, can you stop? Raphael heard Sunny's voice from behind the door. The door opened, revealing Sunny, who looked up at Raphael, a man towering a full foot taller than him. Raphael looked down and asked, Can I come in? No, Sunny replied flatly. But Raphael didn't care. He walked in anyway, heading straight to the living room. There, he saw 4 people sitting on the couch: Nefis, Cassie, Kai, and Effie. All 4 turned their attention to him. Who are you? Effie asked, her tone sharp. Raphael didn't even glance at her. Instead, his eyes focused on Nefis. It's good to see you again, Nef, he said. Who are you? Nefis asked, her expression unreadable. For a brief second, Raphael's confident demeanor cracked. Even though we slept together, you didn't recognize me? He asked, sadness evident in his voice. What? Effie screamed, her eyes wide. Nefis studied him more closely. Ah, Raphael. You've changed. Raphael simply smiled. Everyone, this is Raphael, the one I traveled with in the dream realm. Raphael, these are Cassie, Effie, Kai, and lastly, Sunny. So, this is your cohort, Raphael said, chuckling. Let's see, we've got a whore, a singer, a schemer, and a femboy. What did you just say? Effie growled, standing up. But before she could continue, Raphael locked eyes with her and said coldly, a whore. How dare you? Effie, sit down, Nefis interrupted, her tone commanding. And you, Raph, stop stirring trouble. Sunny, who had been watching from behind, was stunned into silence. Titan, he's a Titan, Sunny thought. His mind raced. Does that mean he has a divine aspect? Raphael, now ignoring the tension, smiled. Anyway, I brought a gift. He pulled out a projector. You know, since I wasn't with you all on the Forgotten Shore, I really wanted to know what happened there. So, I brought a little movie for us to watch together. Ha ha ha. Nefis immediately stood up, alarmed. I don't think that's a good idea, Raph. Nefis, everyone here will watch it, Raphael replied, still smiling. He didn't waste time setting up the projector. By the way, Nef and Sunny, if either of you tries to destroy the projector, I'll destroy the entire house. Do you understand? Yes, they both muttered reluctantly. The movie began, and everyone sat on the couch. Raphael took a seat next to Kai. The film played until it reached a scene where Nefis's actress asked Kai's actor to search for the new sleepers. Raphael paused the movie and asked, by the way, Master Kai, when you went to search for the new sleepers, did you find anything? Caught off guard, Kai answered quickly, yes. I found what seemed to be the exoskeleton of a human, which I buried. Raphael suddenly burst into laughter. Everyone looked at him, confused. Only Nefis seemed to understand. Why are you laughing? Sunny asked. Nothing, nothing. By the way, you've been staring at me the whole time, Sunny. It seems you don't like me. I don't, Sunny replied bluntly. Raphael's smile widened. Without warning, his body began to change, his height shrank, his hair grew longer and turned silver, and his chest expanded. Using his ability, self-sovereignty, Raphael transformed into Nefis's exact likeness. Raphael, now looking like Nefis, walked over to Sunny, whose eyes were wide with shock. Do you like me now? Raphael asked. Thanks to his flaw, Sunny was forced to answer truthfully. Why yes, he stammered. Raphael, stop teasing him, Nefis said firmly. Raphael glanced back at her, smirking. Are you jealous, Nef? No, she replied flatly. Raphael walked back to his spot, returning to his original form. Now that we've had our fun, let's talk seriously, he said, his tone shifting. Without warning, Raphael launched himself at Nefis, grabbing her by the neck. The others were stunned, but they quickly moved to intervene, only to be stopped by 4 saints who appeared around Raphael. What are you doing, Raphael? Nefis choked out, struggling. Nefis, tell me, what did you do in the second nightmare? She remained silent, her eyes filled with fear. Nefis, for 3 months, I was tortured by a sacred. Raphael's voice cracked with anger and pain. He destroyed my body, mind, and soul thousands of times. In the end, I conquered the second nightmare. And you did nothing. His grip on her throat tightened. Nefis tried to ignite her flames, but they were devoured by Raphael's darkness. Sunny and the others desperately tried to help, but the saints blocked their path. Look at me, Nefis. Look at what I've become. Raphael screamed, his voice echoing with anguish. Raph, you're killing me, please, stop, Nefis gasped, her voice weak. But he didn't listen, blinded by rage. Then, he felt something wet on his hand. He looked up and saw tears streaming down Nefis's face. I'm sorry, Raphael, she whispered. I'm so sorry. Raphael froze. What have I done? He released her throat, stepping back as Nefis collapsed to the floor, coughing. Taking shaky breaths, Raphael knelt beside her. I didn't mean to do that, he stammered. Nefis, still gasping for air, looked up at him, her eyes full of pain and sorrow. Raphael, get out, please. He glanced at the others, their faces brimming with fury and killing intent. Raphael knew he had ruined everything. Consumed by anger, he had lost control. The saints returned to his side, and with their power, Raphael teleported away. And just like that, Raphael was gone. Why did Nefis cry even though it looked out of her character? The one who lived with her for 2 years was literally broken in front of her. 2 he also tried to kill her. 3 she is already broken because of the second nightmare. Another 1. At first I planned to put them in the same chapter but I changed my mind. Nefis. Sunny rushed toward the fallen Nefis, his face etched with concern. Nefis, now using her fire to heal her neck, looked up at Sunny. For the first time, Sunny saw Nefis crying. He didn't know why she was crying, but it stung his heart. He didn't understand why, but it didn't matter. The 4 of them helped Nefis sit on the couch. Princess, give me one reason why I shouldn't go find that bastard and kill him. Effie said, her voice full of anger. Nefis looked at Effie for a moment before saying, you can't kill him, Effie. Why do you say that? It's not like he's unkillable or something. Nefis didn't reply, she just sighed. Sunny looked at Nefis and asked, Nefis, you said he has a sacred aspect. Are you sure about that? Yes, why do you ask? Nefis seemed surprised by the question. I'm pretty sure I saw more than one core inside of his soul sea. All of them stared at Sunny in disbelief. Do you mean he has a divine aspect, like you too? Effie screamed. That's not the problem. Sunny replied. He has 7 cores. He's a titan. Silence. The room was quiet until the sound of the couch breaking was heard. Everyone turned to look at Cassie. Sorry. Cassie said sheepishly. My couch. Do you know how much it cost? Sunny thought but didn't dare say it aloud. There's only one meaning to this. Nefis finally spoke. His aspect must have evolved from a sacred to a divine aspect. Is that even possible, Lady Nefis? Kai asked. We don't know, but if that's what happened, then yes, it should be possible. Nefis replied. Will we have another Mordred? Because, gods help us, that bastard is enough. Effie muttered. Sunny, I'm going to my room. Nefis said. Yes, sure. Have a good night. Sunny replied. Hey, doofus, I'm gonna stay here tonight. Effie said as she walked up the stairs. Cassie didn't say anything but followed Effie. Kai looked at Sunny and asked, "So, do you have any room for me?" "Nah, you're sleeping on the couch." Kai, just waking up, looked at the table in front of him. It was covered in boxes, and on top of the pile, there was a paper that read, "Call this number." "Everyone, come here," Kai screamed. After a minute, Effie was the first to appear. She looked at Kai for a second, then at the pile of boxes, pointing at it. "What is this?" Effie asked. Kai didn't respond, just shrugged. A few minutes later, the rest of the cohort gathered. "So, should we call the number?" "It must be him," Sunny said. Neffys didn't say anything. She took out her phone and dialed the number. "Hello. Can you hear me?" Raphael's voice came through the phone. "I can hear you, Raphael," Neffys said. For a moment, Raphael's voice went quiet. Sigh. "Look, I know you're angry, and so is everyone else. I even blame myself for how stupid I was. But you must also know what the underworld was like, Neffys. I wasn't in my right mind yesterday." Raphael paused before continuing. "I'm truly sorry for what I did yesterday, but I know sorry isn't enough. That's why I brought something that will make you forgive me." "You think we'll forgive you because you brought gifts?" Effie said, her tone tinged with anger. "Yes," Raphael replied. "Dream on, big guy," Effie said. "Since you're the first to speak, let's start with you. In the pile of boxes, there's a long one. Inside, you'll find a transcendent spear, capable of killing a corrupted tyrant in a single, ultimate attack." Effie had already started opening the box. As she heard the word, memory, she looked at the spear inside. "If I'm right, you should have already opened the box. To make the memory yours, you just need to pour your essence, and it's yours." Effie did as instructed. The spear disassembled into white particles and entered her body. After a moment, Effie looked at the cohort, who were also staring at her. "I forgive him." Sunny stared at her in disbelief. She was the angriest of them all, and just like that, she forgave him. "Ha ha ha, I knew you were smart. Now, for Master Kai, in the box on the far right, there's a transcendent bow. This bow can duplicate any arrow you have in your arsenal. It can also merge two different arrows into one without sacrificing the original arrows." Kai hesitated at first, but eventually, he accepted the bow. "For Sunny, I have two gifts for you. The first one is inside the smallest box. Inside is an orb of darkness. If you let your shadow absorb it, it will become one class higher." Sunny opened the box, and immediately, Saint emerged from his shadow, took the orb, and consumed it. The nightmare spell whispered in his ears. Opening square bracket ... The marble saint is evolving. Sunny was already happy with this, but Raphael didn't stop there. The second gift is a black odachi capable of cutting both the body and soul. I won't explain it further since you can read the description of your memories thanks to your lineage. Sunny wasn't surprised Raphael knew about his lineage. Neffys had already mentioned that he somehow knew. Next is Neffys. Since your fire can destroy your memories, I gave you both armor and a sword capable of withstanding your flames. You can ask Sunny about its abilities. Neffys nodded and took the armor and the sword. Finally, Cassie. Your gift is an echo that can transform into anything. By transforming it into eye lenses and wearing them, you can share your vision with it using your ability. Since it's an echo, there must be contact to transfer the it, so we'll need to meet. If you want, we can meet after the Valor Banquet. Cassie accepted the proposal. Good. Enjoy your new memories. If any are destroyed, feel free to call me for a replacement, Raphael said. Yes, Daddy. Silence. Everyone stared at Effie with questioning looks. What? Effie said, suppressing her laugh. You're really a whore, aren't you? Raphael's voice said from the phone. Ha ha ha, just for you. Effie replied. The call ended. Sigh. We need to be ready for the banquet next week, Neffys said. In an abandoned alley, Raphael sighed and ended the call. Well, that went good. In front of him was the dead body of a handsome young man with short black hair and blue eyes. Raphael looked down at the lifeless body. He was the heir to one of the higher clans, led by a saint. The clan was associated with the Valor clan. As the heir to the clan, he had been invited to the Valor banquet. Raphael's body began to change, resembling the dead man in front of him. Darkness rose from his feet and engulfed the body. Once the transformation was complete, he walked out of the alley. Waiting for him was an old man dressed in a butler's uniform. "Young master." The butler bowed his head. "Let's go," Raphael replied, stepping into the car. "Yes, young master." Inside the car, Raphael smiled. "Everything is going according to plan. If we reach top 100 in the rankings, I will upload another chapter today." It's been a week since Raphael took Richard's place. Raphael tried to copy most of Richard's routines and habits, but in the end, people still started questioning the change in his behavior. Well, it didn't matter now, since today was the last day he would be Richard. Raphael was now in his PTV, outside his fiancé's clan, waiting for her. Since Richard had a fiancé, Raphael was forced to attend the Valor banquet with her. His fiancé came from the Hall clan, a mid-tier clan known for their riches and wealth. After a few moments, the door opened, and out stepped a beautiful woman. Her long blonde hair was casually tied up, flowing smoothly and luxuriously. Her emerald eyes reflected a somewhat pale flame, looking as deep as the ocean and as pure as a gemstone. Her facial features and the shape of her face exuded stunning beauty. Her bearing and elegance were clear and refined. Her gown was an elegant blend of soft green and white, with delicate lace on the bodice and puffed sleeves tied with ribbons. The layered skirt flowed gracefully, adorned with golden accents, while a bow at the waist and a matching parasol completed the timeless look. She was none other than Audrey Hall, one of the top beauties of humanity, even though she was still unawakened. Since Raphael was her fiancé, he also wore a white and green tuxedo accented with gold. Raphael walked towards her, knelt down, and kissed her hand. "You are as beautiful as ever, Lady Audrey," Raphael said. Audrey looked at him with a hint of annoyance in her eyes. Raphael knew why. Richard had been cheating on her, and he hadn't even tried to hide it. "Yes, it's nice to meet you too, Master Richard," Audrey replied coolly. Raphael stood up, took her hand, and led her to the PTV. Once inside, Raphael sat across from Audrey. "It will take us around 20 minutes to reach the banquet," Raphael said. Audrey looked at him and nodded silently. After some time, Raphael heard Moog's voice in his mind. "Your Majesty, she is using some kind of ability." Raphael turned to Audrey, and just as Moog had said, her eyes had changed from green to gold. Using her awakened ability, Audrey looked into Raphael's soul. Her ability allowed her to see someone's soul and mind, letting her discern their emotions. What she should have seen was a bright area, but instead, she saw darkness. In the sky of his soul, 7 dark cores floated ominously. "What are you doing?" Suddenly, she heard Richard's voice. "Ah, it's nothing," Audrey said with a smile. Audrey glanced at Raphael, her mind racing with thoughts. There is no way someone's soul could suddenly change. Then how did his soul change, unless he isn't the same person? Raphael sighed and spoke, breaking her thoughts. "At first, I planned to let you live, but you saw something you shouldn't have." Audrey's face froze with fear. "What do you mean, Richard?" she asked nervously. Raphael chuckled and said, "Stop the act, Lady Audrey. You must already know that I'm not Richard, it's written all over your face." He leaned closer and touched her face gently. "At first, I thought I'd kill you, but I changed my mind. If I went to the banquet alone, it would cause me too many headaches." Raphael said with a smile. "Let's make a deal, Miss Audrey. From now on, you will never speak of this conversation. If even a single word leaks, your entire family will die." Audrey nodded her head in agreement, her fear palpable. "Good. We have 10 minutes until we reach the banquet. Don't act out of the ordinary," Raphael said firmly. The PTV stopped, and the door opened. Raphael took Audrey's hand and led her out towards the banquet hall. At the entrance, a guard requested their invitation cards. Raphael handed him 2 cards, one for himself and one for Audrey. The guard examined them briefly before returning them. Raphael and Audrey entered the grand hall, which was filled with hundreds of guests. Since Richard was the son of a saint and a master, people swarmed to him like flies. "Master Richard, it's good to see you here," someone greeted. "It's good to see you too, awakened Alex," Raphael replied politely. "Miss Hall, you look breathtaking as ever," Alex added, turning to Audrey. Audrey, lost in her thoughts, snapped back to reality upon hearing her family name. "Sir Alex, it's a pleasure to meet you today," Audrey replied with a forced smile. Raphael glanced at Alex and smiled. "Sir Alex, I have some matters to discuss with my fiancée." "If you'll excuse us," he said, not waiting for a response as he led Audrey to the side of the hall. Suddenly, the atmosphere in the great hall shifted. The voices grew quiet, and a heavy silence fell over the crowd. It was because of one man. The man's presence was overwhelming. He was strong and severe, with sharp features and even sharper, cold eyes. His black hair was streaked with silver at the temples. He wore an elegant suit that resembled impregnable armor, and his vermilion cloak moved slightly, as if touched by an invisible wind. Raphael looked at the man and chuckled quietly. Why was he laughing? Because he planned to kill this man, Saint Matic, with his own hands. As the guests fell silent, Matic surveyed the room with steely blue eyes before offering a slight smile. Instantly, the oppressive atmosphere lifted, and the mundane humans sighed in relief. Matic spoke, his strong voice easily reaching into every corner of the great hall. "Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests, welcome to the annual ball of the great clan Valor. It is my honor and pleasure to welcome you all under our roof once again. In the past year, many things have happened. Some of our brothers and sisters are not with us anymore. Despite that, it pleases me to see many new faces among you. Humanity has grown stronger yet again. New heroes rose to carry the torch for those who had fallen in battle. With champions like these, our world has nothing to fear. Despite it all, we persevere. But more than that, we rise. Nothing can stop our ascension." He looked at the guests, and then sighed. "Well, those of you who know me also know that I am not one for long speeches. To be honest, this one was actually written by my beloved wife, who is far more eloquent and wise than me. Not to mention pleasant to look at." A wave of polite chuckles spread through the crowd. Saint Matic smiled once again. "Today is not a day for sorrow. Today is a day for joy. And so, let the ball commence." As soon as he said that, the space in the middle of the hall was cleared, and the musicians started to play a magnificent and emotional composition. Whispering Blade danced the first dance himself, accompanied by a beautiful, mature woman. Moving with elegance and grace, they both looked breathtakingly splendid. Soon, other pairs joined them. Raphael looked at Audrey and said, "I need to go to the bathroom, wait for me." Raphael saw Sunny walking away. As he walked toward the bathroom, he saw Sunny enter. Raphael stood next to the bathroom door. He could still hear the conversation between Sunny and Mordred. After some time, the door opened, and Sunny came out. Sunny looked at Raphael and froze. Did he hear me talking to Mordred? Sunny thought. Raphael looked at Sunny and smiled. Take it easy, Sunny, it's me, Raphael. Sunny looked at Raphael, surprised. He already knew Raphael would be at the banquet since he had planned to meet Cassie. Why are you, in this shape? Sunny asked. How do you think I would enter a hall without an invitation? So, you took someone's place. Yes, Raphael replied. Sunny paused for a moment and then asked. What happened to him? Do you really want to know? Sunny sighed and shook his head. By the way, that Mordred must be a pain in the ass. Raphael said. Oh, don't get me started. Raphael chuckled at Sunny's words. Anyway, I'm here to warn you. At the end of the dance, something will happen. What do you mean? I can't tell you, it's a surprise. Anyway, I need to get back to my fiancé. You have a fiancé? Well, not me technically, but yes, you could say that. Raphael said his goodbyes to Sunny and returned to Audrey. She was surrounded by men asking her for a dance. Raphael walked toward her, pushing the men aside. He took her hand and asked, "Shall we dance?" Audrey's face twitched, but she accepted. Leading her to the middle of the hall, he saw another pair joining in. It was none other than Sunny and Neffys. The guests looked at the two pairs heading to the middle of the hall. Those already dancing ended their dance, and others stopped in their tracks. How could they continue when the last daughter of the Immortal Flame clan and the most dazzling gem in NQSC were dancing? The musicians began a new composition. The two pairs started dancing, and the people watched. Even Matic and Morgan turned their attention to them. While dancing, Raphael noticed the look on Sunny's face. It was truly amusing. Audrey stepped on her gown, but Raphael noticed this and quickly placed his hand on her waist, correcting her stance. "Thank you." Raphael nodded in reply. After 5 minutes, as the composition neared its end, Raphael noticed Sunny's expression change. She must have told him she's joining the Valor clan. Raphael thought. When the dance was about to end, Raphael saw Sunny take Neffys's hand and led her out of the hall. Raphael finished the dance with Audrey, and the guests began clapping for them. "Moj, do it," Raphael whispered. "As you pledge, your majesty." Moj replied. As Sunny was leading Neffys away, he felt the atmosphere of the hall shift. Looking back, he noticed the lights flickering. What is going on? Sunny thought. Then he remembered Raphael's warning. Matic was the first to notice. He quickly drew his memories. Raphael carried Audrey in a princess hold and leapt away from the center of the hall. From the middle of the hall, a small pool of blood appeared out of nowhere. The guards outside rushed in and surrounded the pool. From the pool rose a terrifying demon with a head full of twisting black horns, like a crown of nightmares. Its massive, dark body was clad in rich red and gold robes with intricate patterns, radiating both power and malice. Large, tattered wings spread out behind it. Raphael observed Moj. As a Titan master, Raphael could summon Moj, a sacred, for only 3 seconds. But what if this was a copy of Moj? The copy carried the presence of a sacred, but its power was at best saint level. "I hope you are having a good night, humans," Moj said. While in the underworld, Raphael had taught Moj how to speak human languages, preparing for this moment. "Who are you?" Matic demanded. "Me. I'm merely an apostle of my lord, sent to deliver a message." Moj replied. The guard's swords, forged by Anvil, were part of his domain. This meant Anvil was also observing the events. Moj took out a scroll and began to read. From Raphael, the Black Emperor, son of destiny and choice, ruler of the underworld. To Anvil of Valor, king of swords, son of war and life. Put thy foolish ambitions to rest, and stop what is called madness. The tomb is where even the gods dare not tread, and you, a mere human, dare to defy the gods, will. Stop your foolish ambitions, or you shall bear my wrath. The wrath of the underworld. In the Song clan headquarters, the same scene unfolded. Beastmaster glared at the departing Moj, her face etched with fury. Beastmaster struck the armrest with a clenched fist. How dare he disrespect Mother? In the book The Rise and Downfall of Humanity, people of that time believed it was some kind of joke or the work of a madman. But they were wrong. The sovereigns ignored the emperor's warning, and so they paid the price, in blood. The world needs justice. The chapter was supposed to uploaded yesterday, but Citadel de Morse dropped, so yeah. Well, that should do it. Raphael thought. In the first place, Raphael didn't plan to reveal himself, but the circumstances forced his hand. He needed something to make Kor accept his proposal, and what better tool than fear when proposing something? Since the clone of Moj exuded a presence above that of a saint, there was no way Kor would refuse. He had endured the sovereign's rule for far too long. But this wasn't the main reason Raphael was confident that Kor would accept his proposal. It was Kor's hope to save Antarctica and its people. With someone like Moj, saving them wasn't impossible. What Kor didn't know was that everything that happened was just a show. Summoning the 7 saints had already pushed Raphael to his limits, as he could only summon them for no more than 5 minutes. The other reason for revealing himself was the sovereigns. If his prediction was correct, there were two possible scenarios. First, the sovereigns would stop trying to conquer the tomb of Ariel. Second, with Raphael's revelation, their will to grow stronger would intensify, and they would send more troops, be it saints or masters. He leaned towards the second scenario, which was exactly what he wanted to happen. Raphael looked around the hall, which was now in chaos. "Ah, Richard, can you put me down?" Audrey said. Raphael turned his gaze to Audrey, who was still in his arms. He nodded and gently set her down. "Thank you. It's nothing," Raphael replied, his voice calm and detached. With everything that had unfolded, the ball was officially over, and everyone was being escorted to their PTVs. Raphael watched Audrey for a moment before speaking. "The driver will escort you to the Hall Manor. I have something to take care of." Audrey nodded and stepped into the PTV without a word. As it drove away, Raphael pulled out his phone and sent a message to Nefis. "Let Cassie meet me at the garden, alone." After sending the message, he pocketed his phone and began walking toward the garden. Sitting on a chair under the starlit sky, Raphael stared into the distance, his thoughts elsewhere. The sound of approaching footsteps pulled him from his reverie. He turned his head to the right and saw a short young woman with long blonde hair cascading down her back. Her pale skin contrasted sharply with the half-silver mask covering her eyes. It was none other than Cassie. She approached the table and took a seat across from Raphael, a faint smile on her lips. "Do you know how much I want to kill you right now?" Raphael chuckled lightly at her words. "A lot, I think." Cassie's smile quickly vanished, replaced by a glare of anger. She stood abruptly, slamming her hand against the table. "Are you stupid? Do you want to make the world your enemy? Sit, woman, and don't you dare speak to me like that, or I'll cut out that tongue of yours," Raphael replied, his voice cold and emotionless. Cassie froze, certain she had struck a nerve. Without another word, she sat back down, her anger simmering beneath the surface. Raphael's gaze hardened as he spoke again. "You don't have to worry. The third nightmare will happen, and just as you planned, you will create a weapon against fate." Cassie's eyes widened in shock. How could he know? Her plans were supposed to be secret, yet he spoke as though he had watched every step unfold. How do you know this?" "It doesn't matter how I know," Raphael said bluntly. "Anyway, as promised, I'll give you the echo. But before that, I want to ask you something." "What?" Cassie asked, her voice edged with suspicion. "Can you see me in your visions now?" "Yes, I can," she replied hesitantly. Raphael nodded, extending his hand toward her. Cassie hesitated but eventually placed her hand in his. A moment later, she heard the familiar voice of the spell. "You have received an echo, mimic. Since I've given you the echo, I'll take my leave." "Wait." Raphael sighed, his irritation evident. "What do you want? Why couldn't I see you in my visions before?" "Let me answer that with a question. What are your visions?" "What do you mean?" "Just answer the question," Raphael said firmly. "The visions let me see the future and the past." "It's as simple as that," Cassie said, though she avoided revealing the full extent of her ability. "No," Raphael corrected. "Your ability lets you see the fate of something. It's much different from what you just said." Cassie remained silent, unwilling to admit the truth. Sigh. "The reason you couldn't see me is because I don't know." Cassie's temper flared again. "What do you mean you don't know? What do you take me for? An omniscient being that knows all things?" Raphael shot back, his tone sharp. Cassie stared at him, frustrated but unable to respond. She sighed in resignation. Raphael stood, ready to leave. But before he walked away, he turned back to her and said, "Let me give you some advice. Don't trust your ability." As he spoke, darkness rose from his feet, and a man materialized beside him. The man placed a hand on Raphael's shoulder, and in an instant, they vanished into the darkness. Cassie sat there, staring at the empty space where Raphael had stood, his words echoing in her mind. Saint Cor walked briskly toward his office, his thoughts racing. Was the man who met me truly the emperor of the underworld? But I'm certain he was only a master. Why would someone like that thing obey a master? A chill ran down Core's spine. If what that man said is true, then humanity might not stand a chance. Reaching his office, Core pushed the door open. Inside, a young man stood waiting for him. He had long black hair, pale skin, and a powerful physique. His black Chinese kimono was adorned with golden dragons on the shoulders. Raphael met Core's gaze and spoke. Have you decided? You. What are you? Core asked cautiously. You should already know who I am. Don't waste my time, speak, Raphael replied impatiently. Core gritted his teeth. I will accept the alliance on 2 conditions. Seeing that Raphael remained silent, Core continued. First, you will vow not to harm any human except your enemies. Second, the underworld will assist in the chains of nightmares in Antarctica. Raphael smiled faintly. How easy to manipulate you, Saint Core. He nodded and said, sit. We'll have a long conversation. Since I have a free time I wrote a chapter, hope you liked it. My finals end in Monday, so the upload schedule will return Tuesday maybe. What does that old man want now? Jet was on her way to Saint Core's office. As the leader of the first irregular company, she had plenty on her plate. Out of nowhere, Saint Core had summoned her back to NSQC. If he doesn't give me a good reason, I'll rip his soul apart. Reaching the office door, she opened it and said, You know I'm really busy, old man. Why did you call me back? To her surprise, another person was in the room. The man sat on the ornate sofa, calm and confident. His dark hair was neatly styled, and glasses framed his sharp eyes. He wore a black coat over a burgundy vest and white shirt, looking polished and composed. One gloved hand rested against his face as if in thought, his expression steady and unreadable. Saint Core sighed as he looked at Jet. Jet, sit. We need to talk. Jet glanced at the man, then back at Core, before nodding and sitting down. So, what do you want? Jet asked. Core studied her for a moment before replying. Jet, you mentioned before that you were going to choose one of your friends as a captain for one of the first irregular company's cohorts. Yes, and you already gave me the green light. Core nodded in agreement. Jet, I want this man to join that cohort. Jet was stunned. The request didn't make sense. What do you mean? You want a master to join another master's cohort? Jet, maybe you trust that man, but I don't. He might be a spy from one of the clans. Jet was livid. She had already told Core everything about Sunny, and he had accepted. Why was he changing his mind now? Sigh, even though having 2 masters in a single cohort is too much. Not really. My abilities make me deadly against one enemy, but against a horde of monsters, I'm no different from any other awakened. Jet turned to the man and asked. By the way, who are you? Ah, right. I forgot to introduce you too, Core interjected. Jet, this is Master Gehrman Sparrow. Gehrman, this is Jet, aka Soul Reaper. Gehrman nodded politely. It's nice to meet you. Jet didn't respond, merely giving a curt nod in return. She turned back to Core. The other masters won't be happy. Just tell them it was an order from me, Core replied firmly. Jet sighed, standing up. Are you leaving now? Core asked. Yes, I've got a lot to do at the port. Take him with you. Jet gestured for Gehrman to follow her. I've done everything you asked for, Core said once she was gone. Raphael looked at Core and replied. You don't have to worry. I'll uphold my end of the deal. With that, Raphael left the office and followed Jet. Raphael stood before the train station, his sharp gaze falling on the massive long-range transcontinental train. It was a heavily armored metal beast stretching hundreds of meters, its segments bulky and imposing. He studied it with an approving nod before stepping aboard. As a master, he was entitled to the lavishly furnished car reserved for high-ranking officials, legacy clan members, and other prominent figures. The cabin he was assigned was spacious, comparable in size to his academy quarters but far more luxurious. Placing his belongings on the shelf, Raphael settled into a seat by the window. How is everything going, Moj? A faint, ethereal voice echoed in his mind. Just as you predicted, my liege. They are diverting more forces to Antarctica. Good. Keep watching them and report everything. As you command, Your Majesty. Raphael leaned back, his sharp features softening slightly as he gazed out the window, enjoying the passing view. 2 days later, Raphael found himself standing in the bustling port alongside Jet. They were awaiting Sunny's arrival. In those 2 days, Raphael had met the other captains and gone over his role in detail with Jet. A faint whistle signaled the train's arrival. As it came to a stop, the doors opened, and Sunny emerged. "Hey, Sunny. Welcome to our small port." Sunny turned his head slowly. Master Jet had not changed much. She was still the same, confident, beautiful, with raven black hair and cold, icy blue eyes. Her usual uniform was gone, though, replaced by a deep blue military trench coat. There was a satisfied smile on her lips. The crowd of people parted as she walked closer and glanced at the anchored ships. "Impressive, aren't they?" Sunny lingered for a moment, then nodded. "Yeah, now that I see them, I am starting to understand how we are going to evacuate 800 million people from Antarctica." Soul Reaper shook her head. "Don't be so sure. This is just one of the several convoys that is going to sail to the southern quadrant. They are going to deliver the first evacuation army to Antarctica, load up a few millions of refugees, and sail back. If everything goes well, by the time the ships return, the mobilization would have already started. The fleets will bring us reinforcements, take more civilians aboard, and repeat the process as many times as it takes." She sighed. "Of course, there's more or less zero chance that everything will go well. Even if it does, it will take us at least a year to gather everyone, if we are still alive by then. Who knows, maybe we will be all overwhelmed and devoured by abominations in the first few months." Sunny glanced sideways at her, his expression bleak. "You really know how to raise morale, you know." Master Jet grinned. Don't be so serious. In any case, I am really glad that you decided to join the party, Sunny. I really need someone who I can trust by my side. Don't get me wrong, my other subordinates are all honorable and accomplished warriors, but they're not you." He blinked a couple of times. "I didn't know I was so special." She looked at him, then shrugged and started walking away, prompting Sunny to follow. It takes a certain kind of person to face the very depths of despair, and still continue to fight. You are one such person, Sunny. Soul Reaper glanced at him, then added in a voice that was devoid of any humor. And we will all experience a lot of despair in the coming months. I have a feeling. Sunny stayed silent. Breaking the moment, he asked. By the way, who's the man behind you? Hearing the question, Raphael stepped forward, a faint smile on his face. You must be Captain Sunless. My name is Gehrman Sparrow. From now on, I'll be under your care. Jet sighed before speaking. Sunny, I'll explain everything later. For now, let's go. Sunny sat inside a military PTV, staring out the window at the port. He lingered for a few moments, then asked in a slightly hoarse voice. You said that there would be several such convoys. Master Jet nodded as she easily controlled the PTV. Yes. 4, for now. 2 will sail from the northern quadrant, 1 from both the eastern and the western. Each will transport around 100,000 soldiers to Antarctica in the coming month. That will also include around 20,000 awakened, and 50 or so masters. She paused, and then added. If the mobilization goes well, we will eventually have at least 60,000 awakened and anywhere between 100 and 300 masters participating in the evacuation efforts. Sunny took a deep breath. These numbers, while the amount of mundane humans being sent to Antarctica was much more immense, it were the latter two that gave him pause. 60,000 might not have seemed like much, but it meant that a quarter of all awakened in the world was going to be concentrated on one continent, and that was without even counting those who had already been based in the southern quadrant. The number of masters was even more unbelievable. 300 was more than a half of all ascended alive today. The government was truly pulling out all the stops. From the front seat, Raphael turned to glance at them. Even with all these soldiers, evacuating everyone from South Antarctica is nearly impossible. Many will die, especially since the three clans don't care about what's happening there. The PTV fell silent. Once inside the fortress, the human traffic thinned considerably, though plenty of people still moved with urgency. Raphael exited the PTV and watched Jet hand Sunny a pile of papers while explaining something. When they were finished, the group headed inside, eventually arriving at a spacious chamber housing a large, round table. 5 individuals were already seated, quietly waiting for the briefing to begin. The captains of the first irregular company, Raphael recognized them all. 3 men and 2 women. The oldest among them seemed close to 50, while the youngest was only slightly older than Jet. All of them wore serious expressions, standing and saluting as she entered. She waved a hand. At ease. We are all ascended here. There's no need for ceremony. The masters hesitated for a few moments, then relaxed and sat down. Master Jet unbuttoned her navy blue trench coat, then threw it on the backrest of an empty chair. Raphael remained standing, watching silently. Jet motioned for Sunny to take a seat. When Sunny sat, Raphael followed, standing behind him. Sunny glanced back at Raphael, clearly confused, but Raphael offered no explanation. One of the captains broke the silence. "Excuse me, ma'am. Who is this, young man? Is he your new adjutant?" She glanced at them, remained silent for a moment, and then smiled. Gods, no, this, young man, is Master Sunless, the latest and final additions to the command structure of the first irregular company. He is not only one of the youngest humans in history to reach the rank of an Ascended, but also has a kill count higher than most of you combined. So, give him a warm welcome, I guess. The captains exchanged glances before nodding. Sunny raised an eyebrow, and asked, Master Jet, may I ask why this man is standing behind me? Jet chuckled. Right. Gehrman will be joining your cohort as your vice captain. Sunny's eyes widened. He hadn't even been briefed on the operation, let alone the details of his cohort. Raphael stepped forward with a faint smile. What she's trying to say is that, since you're not part of the government, I was sent to watch and monitor you. You know, just to make sure you don't try anything funny, Captain. I'm back, boys and girls speaking head. And I bring with me both good news and bad news. Which one do you want to start with? Let's kick things off with the good news. I've finally finished writing the summary, plot twists, opening quote, everything, for the 4th volume. Now, the bad news, I haven't actually written anything for this volume yet. The reason? The Antarctica arc is packed with main arcs, sub-arcs, and mini-arcs, each of them crucial for the story's development. That's why this volume might end up being really long. On top of that, I've forgotten a lot of details from the Antarctica arc, which means I'll need to go back and reread both volumes 5 and 6 to get everything straight. Now that we've got that out of the way, have you all seen G3's announcement about a Shadow Slave webtoon? We're eating good, boys loudly crying folded hands. And look at my glorious King Sunny, he's absolutely majestic. Raphael and Sunny were walking toward their respective rooms after the meeting. Once it concluded, Sunny, Raphael, and Jet had spent some time discussing the operation. Sunny glanced at Raphael and asked, "What do you think?" "About what?" "The cohort. What do you think is the best choice?" "You're the captain, not me." "Yes, but you're also my vice captain, a master. We're both the main force of our cohort, so I need to know your opinion too." I think Master Jet was right. To survive in Antarctica, a cohort that can adapt to any situation and respond quickly to problems is the best choice, Raphael replied. "Yeah, that's what I've been thinking too." After a moment, Sunny asked, "Tell me everything about your abilities." Raphael didn't feel disrespected. Sharing his abilities with his captain was mandatory. "Sure, but it's better if I show you." Saying this, Raphael took the lead and guided Sunny to the training grounds. Sunny nodded and followed him. Raphael stood in front of Sunny, adopting a fighting stance. "Attack me," he said. Sunny didn't hesitate and aimed for Raphael's left shoulder. But even before Sunny moved, Raphael had already dodged to the right. Sunny halted in his tracks, surprised. My ability lets me see the future, or rather, it allows me to predict my opponent's next attack, Raphael explained calmly. Sunny was stunned. An ability to predict attacks. That was incredibly powerful. My other ability is called body manipulation. With it, I can make myself as strong as a tank, as fast as an assassin, or something in between. In other words, I'm like a Joker card that can adapt to any fight. Raphael paused briefly, then added, I can also fight at long range, thanks to one of my memories. As he said this, Raphael summoned a sleek black gun. Death knell. Memory rank, ascended. Memory type, weapon. Memory tier, 3. Memory description, a weapon created by Moj, Lord of Blood to his Emperor. Enchantments, weakness attack, lethal attack, slaughtering. Weakness attack. By pouring essence into the revolver directly and pulling the trigger, it allows you to find the weakness of the target, as well as provide the corresponding precision to hit it in order to do large amounts of damage. Lethal attack. By cocking the gun first, you can use this attack. It allows the user to hit the weakness of the opponent regardless of where you shoot. If the user hits the actual weakness with this attack, it will cause fatal damage to those with low defense. Slaughtering. By using a weakness attack but doubling the essence, it can produce a shotgun effect with normal bullets. By using fatal attack and tripling the essence, it will cause even more damage. Thanks to his nether bloodline, Raphael could now see the tier and description of an enchantment. This is actually good. With your abilities, you can support the others, Sunny said, nodding in approval. What about your memories? I can confidently say I have all the memories I need, Raphael replied. Hearing this, Sunny smiled. He wouldn't need to spend money equipping Gehrman, a relief in every sense. Now that I have all the information about your abilities, the only thing left is selecting the soldiers for the cohort. Exiting his room, Raphael found Sunny sitting at a table, holding a device in his hand. Have you finished selecting soldiers for the cohort? Raphael asked. Yes, Sunny replied, extending the device toward him. Taking it, Raphael opened the device and began reviewing the information on the soldiers Sunny had chosen. Author's note. Massive info dump on Sunny's cohort here. If you're already familiar with their abilities, feel free to skip. Awakened Kim. She possessed an affinity to revelations. She is also able to perceive the flaws and vulnerabilities of living creatures and share her visual perception with several people. Awakened Bell. His aspect is able to turn his body intangible and phase through solid matter. Although he couldn't keep it up for long, even a split second was enough to avoid an enemy attack if used at the right time. His second ability allowed him to infuse unnatural sharpness into his weapon, allowing him to cut through most obstacles. To sharpen his sword, he actually surrounds the blade with an incredibly thin, invisible displacement field. Awakened Dorn. His aspect could be described in 3 words: push and pull. He is able to control at least something that approximated gravity, to empower his strikes with crushing weight and throw his enemies off balance. He is able to significantly increase the strength of his assaults by carefully and methodically mixing these 2 effects. Awakened Quentin. His aspect centered around restoration and corrosion. In battle, he is able to constantly repair his shield and armor, no matter how much damage they took. He is also able to apply corrosive property, which is not very potent, to his weapons, but as long as his attacks landed, the enemy is bound to succumb under the weight of accumulating decay. It is a slow but insidious and impactful ability. There were limitations to this ability, but as long as his memories were not completely destroyed, they would eventually regain their original shape. His restoration was near universal and could repair various things. He was a healer but was comparatively slow and limited. His ability to restore was slower and less effective than more direct healing powers, but it was also more universal. Quentin can treat people, repair machine parts, and even mend cracks in the ship's hull. Awakened Samara. Her aspect was capable of infusing material objects with soul essence and converting soul energy into kinetic energy or heat. It meant that she could turn soul essence into charged explosives. By infusing her ammunition with charged essence, she effectively made them analogous to enchanted weapons. Awakened Luster. His first ability allowed him to enhance the regeneration rate of soul essence, both his own and that of his allies. His second ability allowed him to transfer his essence to others. In short, he is a soul healer or an essence battery. He can speed up the soul essence recovery, both for himself and his allies. The better he knew someone, the more distance he could maintain between himself and the target while channeling the beneficial effect. After finishing the review of the soldiers' information, Raphael lowered the device and looked at Sunny. "So, you went with the utility path," he remarked. "Yes. It's the best path considering the challenges we'll face in the future," Sunny replied confidently. Raphael nodded in agreement. "It seems you've applied specific criteria or prioritized certain traits while selecting them. Let's see, all of them are capable of lasting a very long time on the battlefield. Most employ higher than usual levels of finesse, calculation, and cunning in their approach to combat. And finally, they all exhibit impressive mental fortitude." "You're right, but how did you figure that out?" Sunny asked, his tone curious. "You could say it's experience," Raphael replied with a faint smile. He wasn't lying. As an emperor overseeing an empire with hundreds of thousands of soldiers, understanding such traits was second nature to him. "Well, since we've finished selecting the soldiers, why don't we go meet them?" Raphael suggested. "Yes, let's go," Sunny agreed, standing up. "After you, Captain," Raphael said with a respectful gesture. Luster, Kimmy, and Belle left their observation spot and headed toward the training facility where they had been ordered to gather by the end of the hour. Reaching the training facility, Luster saw two men and woman. The woman was a tall, gorgeous redhead was a real bombshell. Sure, she seemed unapproachable and older than him by a good decade, but that only added to her charm. Belle lightly tapped the young man on the shoulder. "Get your head out of the gutter, fool." Luster blinked a couple of times, then looked at the swordsman with a sheepish smile. "Oh, sorry." Kimmy glanced at the two of them with confusion and said quietly. I think I know her. That is Awakened Samara. When I trained to receive the technician certificate, she taught the Spelltech introduction class to us." She squirmed a little, then approached the tall woman and forced out a small smile. "Instructor Samara. It is so nice to see you again." The aloof beauty glanced at the meek young woman and nodded. "You can call me Sam. We are colleagues now." Kimmy froze for a moment. "Yes, I will, Instructor Samara. I mean, Instructor Sam." She blushed a little, and then gestured at his two companions. "These are Awakened Belle and Awakened Luster. We traveled to Bastion together." Samara looked at the two men, then said in an emotionless tone. "These are Awakened Quentin and Awakened Dorn. We just met." The six elites studied each other for some time. Eventually, Belle scratched the back of his head and asked, does anyone know who our commanding officer is?" Raphael and Sunny were about to enter the training facility when Sunny abruptly stopped in his tracks. "Why are you stopping?" Raphael asked, raising an eyebrow. "Shish." Sunny hushed him, putting a finger to his lips. What is wrong with him? Raphael thought, tilting his head slightly in confusion. From inside the training facility, faint voices could be heard. The 6 awakened soldiers Sunny had chosen were deep in conversation, and it seemed their topic was none other than Sunny himself. Raphael glanced at Sunny with a questioning look, but Sunny caught his gaze and shrugged. "What?" Sunny asked. "Nothing," Raphael replied. After a brief pause, Sunny finally stepped forward and entered the facility. Raphael followed closely behind. "Well, he is a master. Everyone says that the second nightmare is the game changer. Who knows what kind of crap he experienced there. Stuff like that can make a person mature real fast." "Well said." Luster nodded, pleased to receive a bit of praise, but then almost jumped. "Wait, who said that?" At some point, 2 more people had somehow appeared in the gymnasium without being noticed by any of them. The first one was of small stature, with flawless ivory skin, black hair, and unfathomable dark eyes. The guy was extremely young, and looked like a porcelain doll. In fact, he was kind of cute, in a strange, unsettling sort of way. Luster frowned. Who's that shorty? The other man had dark, neatly styled hair, and sharp eyes framed by glasses. He wore a black coat over a burgundy vest and crisp white shirt, with black gloves covering his hands. Every detail of his appearance was polished and composed. Fuck, this man is handsome. The shorter man stepped forward with a faint, confident smile and said, "Good morning, Awakened. I am Master Sunless. You can call me Captain Sunless, or simply Captain. From today forward, I will be your commanding officer." He gestured to the man standing behind him. "The man behind me is the Vice Captain, Master Gehrman." He remained silent for a few moments. Then, his pleasant smile slowly turned strangely ominous. Captain Sunless stared directly at the six of them and added, "Yes, I killed 400 awakened abominations and hunted down a fallen devil as a sleeper. Yes, I am a distinguished explorer and researcher whose published works are well known in academic circles. And yes, I indeed come from the Forgotten Shore, where I lived in the dark city completely alone and went, slightly, mad." The frightening smile grew a little wider. "But all of that is in the past. I am utterly sane now. I am not deranged at all. You truly have nothing to worry about." 4 weeks passed in a blur, and the exodus of the first evacuation army from the northern quadrant finally began. Raphael and Sunny stood with the rest of their cohort in front of their assigned ship. The massive vessel loomed behind them. Sunny turned to the group and spoke. "Are you ready?" Everyone nodded, except for Luster, who suddenly seemed concerned. Actually, I've never been on a ship. I won't get seasick, right?" Sunny stared at him for a few moments, then shrugged. "You are an Awakened, are you not? Awakened are supposed to be resilient to such things. So, we'll see, I guess." Raphael, standing beside Sunny, said in a flat, emotionless tone, "You don't have to worry. If you get seasick, I'll just put you unconscious." Sunny turned to Raphael, raising an eyebrow at his bluntness. As for Luster, his entire body stiffened, and a nervous shiver ran down his spine. How could he not? The two men in front of him were the incarnation of the devil. After a few tense moments, Sunny clapped his hands to break the silence. "Enough talking. Let's go." Together, the group stepped forward and boarded the massive ship. "I think this might be the last info dump chapter, I'm not really sure. Anyway, see you tomorrow." Hand waving. For more thrilling fanfiction stories like this, check out my channel Fanfic Audiobook. Dive into epic adventures, mysterious realms, and legendary journeys brought to life through immersive storytelling. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more amazing audiobooks.